For as long as Naruto Uzumaki could remember, his life had been nothing short of a nightmare. The people of the village hidden in the leaves despised him, their disdain a constant shadow that followed him everywhere he went. He could never understand why he was treated like an outcast. In his young mind, he thought it must have been due to the endless pranks he pulled, mischief meant to grab the attention he was otherwise denied. Naruto had always been proud of his pranking skills. He had played tricks on nearly everyone, from the prestigious Uchiha and Hyuga clans to everyday villagers. His antics were so legendary that even the elite Anbu, Konoha's most skilled operatives, were sometimes called in to catch him. Yet, most of the time, Naruto managed to slip away, fueled by a mix of pride and desperation. But this time was different. This time, he wasn't in trouble because of a prank. It was just another ordinary day. Or so he thought. A mob of about 20 villagers had cornered him in a narrow alleyway, their eyes burning with the same hatred they had shown him for as long as he could remember. His heart pounded in his chest as he realized there was no escape this time. Naruto gulped, instinctively stepping back. But his retreat was cut short by the cold, hard wall behind him. He was trapped. His mouth went dry, and a paralyzing fear overtook him. He could barely move, let alone speak, as the mob closed in with cruel sneers and hateful eyes. "Look at the demon," one villager spat, venom dripping from every word. Others nodded in agreement, their twisted smiles growing wider. "He thinks his frightened face will make us feel sorry for him," another mocked. "But he's wrong. The demon deserves to die." The words hit Naruto like a hammer. His muscles tensed, his heart raced, and something inside him began to stir. His eyes burned, and he felt an inexplicable heat rising from deep within. Some of the villagers hesitated, noticing the strange shift in his demeanor, but they pressed forward nonetheless. Naruto squeezed his eyes shut, trying to block out the pain, the fear, and the hateful voices surrounding him. Naruto's mindscape when Naruto opened his eyes again. He was no longer in the alleyway. He found himself in a dark, dank place that smelled of mold and sewage. The air was thick with humidity, and the faint echo of dripping water filled the silence. It reminded him of the underground tunnels beneath Konoha. "Where am I?" Naruto muttered to himself, his voice trembling with uncertainty. He groped blindly in the darkness, searching for anything that might give him a sense of direction. "Come closer." A deep, menacing voice called out from the shadows. The sound sent a chill down Naruto's spine, but it also pulled him in, as if he had no choice but to obey. As he ventured further into the unknown, a massive iron gate loomed into view. Behind the bars, a faint glow illuminated a seal with the kanji for seal engraved on it. "What the?" Naruto whispered, staring at the enormous cage. The eyes, the voice beyond the gate growled, its tone now filled with curiosity. "I don't recall you having those eyes." Naruto frowned, confused by the statement. What eyes? He hadn't noticed anything different about himself. Kushina was an Uzumaki. The voice muttered, almost to itself. The mention of the name made Naruto's heart skip a beat. His mother? Was that his mother's name? Who are you? Naruto asked, his voice barely above a whisper. It took every ounce of courage he had to speak, his small body trembling. A low, rumbling laugh echoed from within the cage as a massive shape began to emerge from the shadows. 9 enormous tails swayed menacingly, and the figure's red eyes glowed with malevolent power. "Kei Kyuubi," Naruto stammered, his heart pounding in his chest as he recognized the fearsome 9-tailed fox that had once attacked Konoha. The Kyuubi let out another dark chuckle. "As brave as your father. I see. Naruto Uzumaki. As feisty as your mother too. My parents? You knew them?" Naruto asked, his voice shaking. His confusion was growing by the second, but amidst the fear, a glimmer of hope flickered. Maybe this fox held the answers he'd longed for. The Kyuubi's eyes gleamed with amusement. "Your father was the one who imprisoned me in this cage. The Yondaime Hokage, Minato Namikaze. He sacrificed his life to seal me into you. His own son." Naruto felt like the air had been sucked out of his lungs. The Yondaime Hokage. His father? And he had a demon inside him all this time? The weight of the revelation crushed him, and tears welled up in his eyes. Everything suddenly made sense. The hatred of the villagers, the whispers of demon, the pain and isolation. My father didn't love me? Naruto choked out through sobs, his small body trembling as the roof of the cage seemed to shake with his grief. Before the Kyuubi could respond, a voice cut through the darkness, soft and calm. Naruto. Naruto looked up, his tear-filled eyes widening in shock as a tall figure stepped into the light. The man had spiky blonde hair, a familiar smile, and a white cloak with the words, Yondaime Hokage, emblazoned on the back. Why you? Naruto began, his voice trembling. The man smiled gently. Yes, it's me. Your father. Without warning, Naruto rushed forward and punched him in the stomach. The Yondaime grunted, doubling over for a moment, before standing back up with a soft chuckle. I probably deserved that, he said, rubbing his side. Why? Naruto shouted, tears streaming down his face. Why did you seal the Kyuubi inside me? Why didn't you love me? Minato's expression softened as he knelt down to Naruto's level. I understand why you're angry, Naruto. It was unfair, what I did. But there was no other way. The Kyuubi is a force of unimaginable power. If I hadn't sealed it, Konoha would have been destroyed. And I couldn't ask anyone else to bear that burden. I trusted only you, my own son, to handle it. Naruto stared at him in disbelief. Trusted me? I was just a baby. Minato nodded. Yes, you were. But I knew you were strong. Stronger than anyone else. And I believed in you. Naruto's anger faltered, his tears slowing as he listened to his father's words. I thought the villagers would see you as a hero for holding the Kyuubi within you. But instead, they let their fear and ignorance blind them, Minato said, his voice tinged with sadness. I'm sorry, Naruto. I truly am. Naruto sniffled, wiping his eyes. He didn't know what to say, but hearing his father's words brought him a small sense of comfort. Now, Minato continued, his tone lightening. There's something else we need to talk about, your eyes. Naruto blinked, confused again. My eyes? A mirror materialized in front of him, and as Naruto looked at his reflection, he gasped. His once blue eyes were now a deep red, with a strange ripple pattern surrounding the pupils. That's the Rinnegan, Minato explained. A powerful dojutsu that very few possess. It seems your Uzumaki heritage, combined with the Kyuubi's chakra, awakened it within you. Naruto stared at the mirror, his heart racing. The Rinnegan? He had never heard of such a thing. Minato placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. With great power comes great responsibility, Naruto. There will be those who seek to take advantage of your abilities. But I know you'll use them wisely. Back in the dark sewer of his mindscape, the Kyuubi's deep growl echoed once more. The Sage of Six Paths possessed those eyes. Boy. You carry the legacy of a god. Use it wisely. Naruto took a deep breath, his heart pounding as he prepared to leave his mindscape. I'll do my best, he whispered. As the real world came rushing back, Naruto's Rinnegan glowed faintly in the dim light of the alley. The mob was still closing in. But this time, Naruto wasn't afraid. He raised his hands instinctively and whispered, Shinra Tensei. A powerful force exploded outward, sending the villagers flying backward, crashing into walls and scattering debris. Naruto stood amidst the chaos, his eyes reverting to their usual blue as exhaustion overtook him. He swayed for a moment before collapsing to the ground. From the shadows, an Anbu operative watched the scene unfold, his expression unreadable behind his mask. Without a word, he moved swiftly to pick up the unconscious boy, knowing the Sandaime Hokage would need to hear about what had just transpired. The next morning, Naruto found himself waking up in the hospital, still sore from the trauma caused by a recent attack on his life. The villagers, driven by their hatred, had attempted to kill him. Fortunately, the Anbu had intervened before it could escalate further, and several villagers were arrested, including a couple caught carrying swords. The Hokage had decided that two of the attackers, who had violated his direct orders to protect Naruto, would be executed. It was a stern message to the village that violence against Naruto would not be tolerated. Once Naruto was discharged, the Hokage discreetly assigned an Anbu to watch over him, fearing that further incidents could occur. However, as the villagers grew wary of approaching Naruto, the Anbu detail was reduced to guarding his apartment at night. The Hokage was so preoccupied with other matters that Naruto hadn't even had a chance to ask him about the scrolls his father had instructed him to find. Determined to fulfill his father's wishes, Naruto resolved to ask another day. For now, his focus shifted to learning how to fully utilize the strange new powers in his eyes. This endeavor proved more difficult than Naruto had anticipated. The Kyuubi, sealed within him, had little knowledge of Naruto's new ocular abilities and refused to divulge much, fearing that the powers might be too dangerous for Naruto to handle. Instead, Naruto turned his attention to mastering his newfound ability to manipulate gravity. Through rigorous training, Naruto had discovered two key techniques: Shinra Tensei*, which allowed him to repel objects, and *Bansho Tenin*, which enabled him to pull things toward him. Although far from perfecting these abilities, Naruto had made significant progress. Kurama, the Kyuubi, had insisted that Naruto train outside the village, away from prying eyes. The fox believed that revealing his powers too early could lead to dire consequences, including increased hostility and jealousy from the villagers. Naruto, aware of the dangers, agreed to keep his abilities hidden from everyone, even the Hokage. The academy was another source of frustration for Naruto. As they entered the second year of studies, Naruto realized he was still being marginalized. Teachers ignored him, never acknowledging his presence, even when he acted out in class. Unlike other students who were reprimanded for bad behavior, Naruto was simply left to his own devices, as if he didn't exist. This neglect hurt deeply. His father had intended for him to be treated as a hero for holding the Kyuubi within him. Yet the reality was far from that. No one recognized him as anything other than a nuisance. If they only knew who my father was, they wouldn't treat me like this, Naruto thought bitterly. Naruto, a deep voice echoed in his mind. Come into my seal. Just close your eyes. The teachers won't care anyway. Naruto, already disengaged from the class, nodded and slipped into the mindscape. What is it, Kurama? He asked, addressing the Kyuubi by the name he had given it. The giant fox, lying lazily in its cage, snorted in irritation. I've told you before, I prefer being called the Great Kyuubi no Kitsune *. But I suppose that doesn't matter. I called you here to talk about something important. What's on your mind? Naruto asked, sensing Kurama's serious tone. I hope you're not thinking about revealing your heritage to these fools, Kurama said with a growl. Naruto chuckled. Why would I? I'm not stupid, Kurama. I mean, I used to be a total idiot. But not anymore. Ever since I found out about my father, I've started to see things differently. Kurama raised a brow. How so? For the longest time, I thought I was worthless, a loser. I acted out because I wanted attention, especially from Sakura. But after learning about my father and his legacy, something inside me shifted. I'm not just the class clown anymore. I feel more alive, more determined, Naruto explained. The Kyuubi nodded in understanding. In that respect, you're a lot like your mother. She had a pure heart, just like you. I guess being sealed inside such people has softened me over the years. Naruto's curiosity was piqued, especially regarding his mother, who had also been a Jinchuriki. He had repeatedly asked Kurama how the fox had escaped her seal, but Kurama had no recollection of the events. The only clue was that a mysterious figure, whom Kurama referred to as that man, had taken control of him. Breaking Naruto's thoughts, Kurama continued, there's something you need to know about your Rinnegan. It's different from the usual because of my chakra. For starters, you can activate and deactivate it at will, which is rare. Also, it doesn't drain your chakra like it normally would. But there's more, you can control all 5 basic elemental natures. Naruto grinned, remembering the day he had discovered this. With Kurama's help, he had managed to steal chakra paper from a Chunin and test his elemental affinities. The paper had split into 5 distinct sections, one wrinkled, one wet, one turned to dust, another burned, and the last was sliced. It confirmed that Naruto had access to all 5 elements, even without the Rinnegan activated. Kurama had explained that the Rinnegan had altered his genetic makeup. Kurama continued. Remember when you started practicing your water element? Your mother trained in that as well. But here's the important part. Your genetic chakra is evolving. By using your water chakra, you're beginning to mix it with your other elemental chakras. This process is slow and will take years to complete. But eventually, you'll be able to combine elements and unlock advanced chakra natures. Like wood release. Naruto's eyes widened. Wood release? Like the first Hokage? Kurama nodded. Yes. But that's just the beginning. As your training continues, you could potentially unlock other elemental combinations like ice, boil, or storm release. Thanks to my chakra, your body is immune to the dangerous side effects of combining elements. Normally, trying to do this could kill you. But you're different. Naruto was practically bouncing with excitement. This is amazing. I'm going to be even stronger than I thought. I'll become Hokage and protect everyone. Kurama sighed, watching Naruto's gleeful reaction. You're just like your mother, the fox mused internally, full of hope and determination. Before long, Naruto snapped back to reality, leaving the mindscape and returning to the classroom. As he opened his eyes, he noticed his classmates staring at him, and standing in front of the class was their new Chunin instructor, Iruka Amino. Naruto gulped nervously. Naruto Uzumaki. Iruka's voice boomed. If I catch you napping in my class again, there will be consequences. Naruto blinked in confusion. Harder than what? Iruka smirked. Harder than this. Without warning, he bonked Naruto on the head, leaving him with a throbbing lump. The class erupted into laughter, and even Iruka cracked a smile. Naruto, rubbing his head, was stunned. This teacher was different. He had actually acknowledged him. No other teacher had bothered to scold him like this before. As Iruka resumed the lesson, Naruto couldn't help but feel a strange sense of hope. Maybe, just maybe, things were starting to change. As if a baka like you could learn anything. A certain pink-haired girl screeched, her voice filled with disdain. Naruto's heart sank. Sakura, the girl he thought he liked, stood there mocking him. He sighed deeply, resigned to playing along with this fake love for the next few years. What a drag, he thought, doing his best impression of Shikamaru's lazy, indifferent expression, instead of pouting in frustration. The classroom erupted in laughter, their ridicule washing over him. Naruto's day wasn't just about enduring humiliation. It was about forcing himself to focus in class, something he hated more than anything. But his mind began to wander as always, zoning out to daydream about mastering the wood-style jutsu and imagining all the enemies he would crush under his newfound power. Later in the day, Naruto found himself sneaking out of Mizuki-sensei's boring class. After Iruka's lecture had ended, he'd been so restless that he needed an escape. As he wandered through the village, contemplating whether to head to the ramen shop, someone caught his eye. A grown man with unbelievably bushy eyebrows and an even more bizarre green bodysuit. He looked strong, but the way he carried himself screamed weirdness. Beside him stood a boy with an eerie resemblance, down to the same bushy brows. The boy wore a blue shirt and pants, staring up at the older man with admiration. Naruto couldn't help it, he had to ask. Who are you? Naruto blurted, his curiosity getting the better of him. The man turned toward him, his face lighting up in an exaggerated smile as he struck an over-the-top pose. Thumb raised high. I am Konoha's sublime green beast of prey. Might Guy. The man's teeth seemed to sparkle as he struck the pose with a level of enthusiasm that Naruto had never seen before. Naruto's sweat dropped at the absurdity of it all. This guy is something else, he thought. Yet, he couldn't look away. The young boy mirrored the older man's pose. I am Rock Lee. I don't have a nickname, but I really like the word, Mounties. Lee shouted, mimicking Might Guy's movements perfectly. Naruto stared, wide-eyed. This was ridiculous. But he couldn't tear himself away. Might Guy, however, was beaming with pride. Ah, you burn with the flames of youth. Lee, perhaps when you become a genin, I shall train you, he announced. Naruto blinked in surprise. Wait, you can't use chakra? He asked, trying to wrap his mind around the concept of a ninja who couldn't channel chakra. Rock Lee's face fell slightly as he nodded. Yes. I have a birth defect that prevents me from using chakra. I can't become a ninja, Lee said quietly. His voice was sad, and even Naruto felt a pang of sympathy for him. But Might Guy wouldn't hear of it. Nonsense. I am a Junin. And yet, I rely almost exclusively on taijutsu. I know only one technique that uses ninjutsu. You don't need chakra to become a splendid ninja, he declared. His energy undiminished. Then, as if to demonstrate his point, Guy formed a series of hand seals and bit his thumb. Kuchiyose no jutsu, he called, slamming his palm into the ground. In an instant, a puff of smoke appeared, and a turtle materialized before them. Whoa! Naruto whispered, watching in awe as the creature appeared. However, the moment quickly passed as both Guy and Lee turned toward the direction of Naruto's voice. Come out, you unyouthful spy! Might Guy shouted, his voice booming. Naruto froze for a second, realizing he'd been caught. There was no point in hiding anymore. With a sheepish grin plastered on his face, he stepped out from behind the tree he'd been hiding behind. Sorry. I was just so impressed by your introduction that I couldn't resist sticking around. Naruto lied, trying to salvage the situation. Might Guy, however, cracked up in laughter. Ah! Another youthful student full of energy and pranks. You must be Naruto Uzumaki, the one who loves flashy entrances. Guy exclaimed. Naruto grimaced inwardly as Guy struck another flamboyant pose, completely failing to notice Naruto's horror-stricken expression. Turning back to Lee, Guy continued. I shall train you, Lee, in the ways of taijutsu, my own style. Goken, the strong fist. Your determination will allow your youth to shine brightly. Naruto was captivated by Guy's passion. Hey, Guy-san. Can you teach me too? He asked, suddenly feeling a deep yearning to learn. Might Guy smiled warmly, but his tone became more serious. I've already taken Lee as my apprentice, Naruto. But, he added, seeing the look of disappointment on Naruto's face, I can offer you something different. I shall provide you with a scroll for a style called the flowing palm. It's a taijutsu technique that allows you to attack and defend at the same time. You can practice this, and once you're ready, you can spar with me and Lee. Naruto's eyes lit up. He eagerly accepted the scroll, grateful for the opportunity. Now, my youthful students, go and practice. Let your flames of youth shine brightly. Might Guy declared, before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Back in his apartment later that night, Naruto unrolled the scroll. Flowing palm. He read aloud. The technique involved attacking while defending simultaneously, using the enemy's force against them. The style was graceful yet powerful, perfect for someone with Naruto's energy and instincts. He spent hours practicing, honing his movements, feeling the technique flow through him. Over the next few weeks, Naruto trained alongside Lee and Guy. Though Lee was a natural taijutsu genius, Naruto had his own strengths. He mastered the flowing palm technique, even learning a precision taijutsu move called focus point, which could shut down an opponent's organs with just a few well-placed hits. However, Naruto realized that taijutsu wasn't where his true strength lay. One day, Naruto decided to experiment with ninjutsu. He had seen Guy summon a turtle, and he was determined to try it himself. With a sense of excitement, he bit his thumb, made the hand seals, and shouted, Kuchiyose no jutsu. Imagining a giant bird, he watched as an enormous eagle materialized before him. He climbed aboard the bird, using the power of his Rinnegan to control it with his mind. For the rest of the day, Naruto soared above the village, feeling the wind in his hair and the thrill of flight. As the sun began to set, he landed and dismissed the eagle. Exhilarated but exhausted. Summoning was draining, but Naruto was determined to master it. In the weeks that followed, Naruto worked tirelessly, summoning various creatures, improving his chakra control, and developing strategies that would make him a formidable ninja. He realized that with the power of his Rinnegan and the techniques he was learning, He was on the verge of unlocking a whole new world of possibilities. However, he couldn't shake the sense of loneliness that gnawed at him. Aside from Lee and the Kyuubi, he had no one else. But Naruto was done feeling sorry for himself. He had a future to build, and he was going to start by claiming what was rightfully his. The legacy of his father, the fourth Hokage. Naruto strode into the Hokage's office, determined to ask the old man for the scrolls that belonged to him. His heritage. It was time to stop being just another kid in the village. He was Naruto Uzumaki, and he was destined for greatness. Naruto stood there, staring at the Hokage with wide eyes, clearly puzzled. So? I need water balloons and air balloons. What the hell? He asked, scratching his head. The Hokage chuckled, enjoying Naruto's confusion. It's all about shape manipulation of chakra. He explained. You need to rotate your chakra at such a high speed that it can drill through almost anything. Naruto blinked, the gears turning in his mind. So, this is the kind of jutsu my dad invented, huh? His voice carried a mix of awe and curiosity as he looked at the Hokage for confirmation. The Hokage nodded. Yes, your father developed this technique. But there's more, he added, reaching into his desk and pulling out a small green book. The title read, The Basics of Sealing Arts. Fuinjutsu is a very intricate art. Naruto, the Hokage continued, placing the book in front of him. Both your parents were extremely skilled at it. It's in your blood. So I want you to start learning it. Study this carefully. Naruto's eyes gleamed with excitement as he took the book. He could feel the weight of his parents' legacy resting in his hands, and it filled him with pride. Thanks, old man, he said, already flipping through the first few pages. The Hokage smiled at Naruto's enthusiasm but quickly regained his serious expression. Now, on to something else, he said. I'm sure you're aware that the Nine Tails gives you massive chakra reserves. Combine that with the Rinnegan, and you probably have more chakra than even I do. Naruto, who had been drinking in everything the Hokage said, nodded eagerly. So, what can I do with it? He asked, practically bouncing in his seat. Here's the key to speeding up your training. The Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. The Shadow Clone Technique, the Hokage said, writing down the hand seals. It's a Jonin-level technique that creates solid clones. Thanks to your chakra reserves, you should be able to make hundreds of clones. And the best part? Whatever the clones learn, you learn. It's perfect for training. Naruto's mouth fell open. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. This is amazing, he shouted, practically jumping out of his chair with excitement. The Hokage chuckled. He hadn't seen Naruto this enthusiastic in a long time. Now, the Hokage said, leaning back in his chair, go ahead and start training. But don't forget your academy classes. Naruto groaned, already dreading the thought of sitting in a classroom when he could be out there mastering these powerful techniques. Over the next 2 months, Naruto threw himself into his training. The Shadow Clone Technique had been a game changer. Within an hour, he had mastered the jutsu, summoning thousands of clones at once. He split them into groups, each working on different techniques. 100 clones focused on mastering the flowing palm technique, while others tackled the Rinnegan. According to his father's notes, the Rinnegan was incomplete, it lacked nature transformation. Naruto knew he had to add wind chakra to the mix, but he didn't yet know how. The Hokage had given him a scroll on wind nature manipulation, and using his clones, Naruto had quickly learned how to cut a leaf with his chakra. But he couldn't find a waterfall for the next step of the training, so that was put on hold. In the meantime, Naruto focused on water manipulation. With his clones, he practiced controlling water bodies, filling bottles, and creating torrents of water. After countless hours, he had nearly perfected the technique. Kurama, the Nine Tails, had been watching Naruto's progress closely. By combining wind and water chakra, you started to create ice chakra, Kurama told him one day. It's rare, but you're doing it faster thanks to the clones. Naruto had managed to create small patches of ice by freezing the moisture around him. However, he wasn't sure how to use it in a jutsu yet. Kurama suggested studying hand seals and how they could be used to manipulate ice. Besides his elemental training, Naruto had taken to sealing like a fish to water. He finished reading the sealing book twice and had already begun creating his own seals. He learned how to mix ink with chakra and craft personal seals unique to him. His apartment was now covered in protection seals. Anyone who tried to enter without his permission would trigger an explosive tag. Still, life wasn't without its frustrations. The villagers continued to give him hateful looks, and the academy was full of fangirls obsessed with Sasuke Uchiha. They drove Naruto crazy, screeching and swooning over Sasuke's every move. But one particular encounter stuck with him. One afternoon after class, Naruto was reading a new book on intermediate sealing arts when Sakura Haruno snatched it from his hands. "Give it back," Naruto demanded, glaring at her. "No way." Sakura scoffed. "Someone like you doesn't deserve to know about Fuinjutsu. Only Sasuke-kun is worthy of this knowledge." Naruto clenched his fists. "I said, give it back," he repeated. But Sakura just turned and walked away, clutching the book. With a sigh, Naruto activated his Rinnegan. "Bansho Tenin," he muttered. Sakura was pulled back toward him in an instant, and Naruto caught her by the hair. She yelped in pain. "Give me my book," Naruto growled, pulling slightly on her hair. Okay. Sakura whimpered, handing it back. "Please don't cut my hair. Sasuke-kun hates girls with short hair." Naruto let go of her and smiled. "Good. Maybe you'll think twice before messing with me again," he said, pocketing the book. Sakura glared at him, rubbing her scalp. "How did you pull me back like that?" she asked. Naruto smirked. "I used a rope," he lied. "Ninja rope?" she asked, eyes wide with curiosity. "Sure," Naruto said, rolling his eyes as he walked away. Naruto continued to train outside the village, away from the villagers' prying eyes, especially as his birthday approached. He didn't want to give them an excuse to hunt him down. "Kit, shouldn't you be celebrating your birthday?" Kurama asked. Naruto shook his head. "No way. I'm not giving those villagers a reason to come after me," he replied. Over the months, Naruto made even more progress. He had started mastering earth-styled techniques and even began producing wood-styled chakra by combining earth and water. Kurama mentioned that Naruto was developing into someone with the potential to rival the Sage of Six Paths, and Naruto couldn't help but feel a swell of pride at the compliment. On one particular day, Naruto finally succeeded in completing the Rinnegan by infusing it with wind chakra. "Food and Rinnegan," he shouted as he smashed it into a tree, watching with awe as the tree was torn apart, split into 3 clean pieces. Kurama, watching from within, was impressed. "That's a powerful jutsu, Kit. You've come a long way." Naruto grinned. "Thanks, Kurama. I guess it's time to work on the next step, wood release." With each passing day, Naruto grew stronger, more determined, and closer to completing his father's legacy. The village might have ignored him, but he knew he was destined for greatness. Naruto stared at the figure before him, captivated by the wild, gravity-defying hair that framed a face filled with mischief. "The great toad sage, Jiraiya?" he asked incredulously, his eyes wide with disbelief. Jiraiya nodded, his chest puffing out as he declared, "That's right. I am the great sage of Konoha, one of the legendary 3. He struck a dramatic pose, clearly reveling in the moment. "Legendary 3 jokers?" Naruto quipped, a smirk creeping onto his face, causing Jiraiya to face fault spectacularly. "Damn it, brat. You just ruined my grand entrance," Jiraiya exclaimed, frustration coloring his tone. "There will be hell to pay for this." "Shut up, you old geezer," Naruto shot back, unbothered by Jiraiya's legendary status. The man was simply irritating. And Naruto couldn't help but find it amusing. From a distance, Sarutobi, the 3rd Hokage, observed the playful banter with a sense of amusement. The scene reminded him of when Jiraiya first met Kushina, Naruto's mother. She had treated the Toad Sage with the same irreverent attitude that Naruto displayed now. A fond smile graced Sarutobi's lips as he thought, "He's come a long way, Kushina. You would be proud of him." "Pervy sage," Naruto said suddenly, recalling an embarrassing memory. "I've seen you before. When I was 4. You were peeping in the women's section of the hot spring. And then someone caught you. And you had to run away." He burst out laughing, pointing at Jiraiya, who wore an indignant scowl. "Don't call me that, brat." Jiraiya pouted. But Naruto continued his teasing, enjoying the exchange until Sarutobi finally intervened. "Okay. Enough of this. Naruto, will you listen to the mission I have for you?" Sarutobi asked, his tone shifting to one of authority. Naruto nodded, still chuckling. "Sorry, old man, but this pervy sage is a real idiot." Naruto sighed, still unable to hide his amusement. "I thought you interrupted my training just so I could meet this guy." Sarutobi smiled knowingly. "Jiraiya can be a handful. But I'm getting to my point now," he said, his demeanor growing serious. "Now, Naruto," Sarutobi continued, "you hail from the Uzumaki clan, known for their strong alliance with Konoha during the Shinobi Wars. However, your entire clan was wiped out some years ago." His tone shifted to one of somber remembrance. "They lived in Uzushigakure, the village hidden in the whirlpools. The spiral symbol that many Konoha shinobi wear on their shoulders represents your clan. A sign of the alliance between our villages," Sarutobi explained. "The Uzumaki were feared for their mastery of fuinjutsu, sealing techniques, and their exceptional swordsmanship. They could turn the tide of any battle in their favor, which is why many villages banded together to take them down." Sarutobi paused, collecting his thoughts. "Iwa, Kiri, and Kumo allied against your village. After 3 days of intense battle, the alliance ultimately prevailed. Despite their defeat, the Uzumaki managed to wipe out many of their forces, aided by your father, who decimated thousands of Iwa ninja. Their sacrifice contributed significantly to Konoha's victory in that war," he concluded. Naruto beamed with pride, realizing where his determination stemmed from. "The Uzumaki clan," Jiraiya interjected, standing up and moving toward the window, gazing out at the horizon. "They were known for their remarkable lifespans. Uzumaki clansmen lived for many years, and their stamina was legendary." He turned back to Naruto. "I learned some sealing techniques from them myself. They trusted me enough to share their secrets. That's why I'm known as a seal master." Naruto's eyes widened in surprise. "A seal master? This guy could teach him so much." "Listen, Naruto," Jiraiya continued. "You can visit the village. To enter, you always needed to be with an Uzumaki or have permission. I'm sure you'll be allowed in. Especially now that you know your heritage. There are many treasures there, including advanced sealing techniques. I want you to retrieve them. Not just for you, but for Konoha's future as well. We can train our ninjas in fuinjutsu, and there's a high probability there are weapons for you to choose from." Naruto's excitement bubbled over. "A sword?" He'd always wanted one. "Really, old man?" he asked, eyes shining with enthusiasm. "Yes. Finally, I can have a sword for myself," Naruto shouted, pumping his fists in the air. Jiraiya chuckled at the boy's infectious enthusiasm. "Don't get too excited, brat. I'll be accompanying you. And I'll train you," Jiraiya said with his typical overconfidence. Naruto scowled, crossing his arms defiantly. "Oh yeah? I don't need your help. I can train myself. Are you sure that's a good idea?" Sarutobi interjected, his brow furrowed. "After all, he trained your father." Naruto glanced at Jiraiya, tilting his head as if trying to assess the man's worth. Jiraiya felt like an exhibit in a zoo under Naruto's scrutinizing gaze. "What are you looking at?" he asked, irritation creeping into his voice. "Are you telling the truth, old man? This pervert taught my father?" Naruto asked Sarutobi, who nodded gravely. Jiraiya sighed, exasperated. "You might think I'm an incompetent loser, but I'm actually pretty strong. Your father was one of my most promising students," he said, his tone tinged with nostalgia. "He had a bright future until the Kyuubi attacked. Do you know?" he continued, shifting topics. "I named you," he said, a hint of pride in his voice. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise. "What?" he exclaimed, genuinely shocked. "Yes," Jiraiya said, his grin widening. "You were named after the lead character in my book, The Tale of the Utterly Gutsy Shinobi. He pulled out a tattered green book, tossing it to Naruto, who caught it with both hands. This book was horrible. It barely sold. No wonder I had to write Icha Icha. He grumbled, shaking his head. Naruto stiffened, realization dawning on him. This guy wrote those books? I didn't know you had such a tough life, kid, Jiraiya said, his tone softening. The one time I visited the village after you were born was just to deliver a report, and I didn't even meet your sensei. But now that I'm here, he said, his excitement returning, I'll train you in your father's technique. The Rinnegan, he proclaimed, a gleam in his eye. I've already learned that, Naruto declared, causing Jiraiya to fall over dramatically. What the hell? Jiraiya gasped, staring at Sarutobi. This kid learned the Rinnegan at 7 years old? You're telling me he completed the technique, too? Sarutobi nodded, amusement dancing in his eyes. As a matter of fact, he added with a chuckle, he did. Jiraiya was stunned, unable to comprehend that Naruto had mastered the Rinnegan. A feat he himself had struggled with. Channel some chakra to your eyes, Naruto, Sarutobi instructed. Naruto complied, focusing his chakra. No way. That is. Jiraiya stammered, his disbelief palpable. The Rinnegan, Sarutobi said matter-of-factly. Yes. But it looks different. Is that because of the fox? Jiraiya asked, his curiosity piqued. Sarutobi nodded in confirmation. That's what Kurama says it is. Naruto chimed in casually. Kurama? Jiraiya echoed, his brow furrowing. Oh yeah. The Kyuubi's real name is Kurama. Cute. Huh? Naruto grinned, prompting Jiraiya to stare at him, open-mouthed, as if he were some kind of alien. Listen, you two catch up at Ichiraku Ramen Bar. I have loads of work to do, Sarutobi said, waving them off. Leave for the village tomorrow. It's in the land of whirlpools. Not too far from the land of waves. Jiraiya knows the way. Naruto nodded enthusiastically, and the two quickly departed, leaving Sarutobi to his never-ending paperwork. Does anybody have the cheat code to beat paperwork? He thought with a sigh, resigning himself to the mountain of tasks before him. So, you named me, huh? Naruto asked Jiraiya as they walked away from Konoha, having left the village behind. He'd spent the previous night sealing his belongings, and Jiraiya couldn't help but be impressed by Naruto's skill in sealing techniques. Yeah, Jiraiya replied, scratching his head sheepishly. I told your father I came up with the name Naruto while thinking of ramen, but he insisted on that name. What would have happened if I were a girl? Naruto wondered aloud. I mean, would I have been named Narumi? Definitely. But either way, ramen would have been the inspiration. Jiraiya grinned, making Naruto laugh. But why did you come back after all this time? Naruto asked, glancing up at Jiraiya, who was gazing at the horizon. Jiraiya cleared his throat, his expression growing serious. Well, after the war ended, I did what I had to do. I traveled a lot, gathering intel and witnessing the changes in the world. I guess I was a bit of a coward, avoiding the pain of loss. But your father always believed in facing adversity with courage, he admitted. Naruto absorbed his words, realizing the weight they carried. You were close to my dad, weren't you? Yeah. Jiraiya said, a bittersweet smile crossing his face. He was an amazing ninja. So much potential. You remind me of him. Naruto felt a surge of pride at the compliment, warming his heart. I'll make sure to carry on his legacy. Speaking of legacy, Jiraiya said, grinning mischievously, I'll need to teach you my famous summoning technique. We'll have to summon toads, and I'll teach you how to control them. They'll be your pets? Pets? Naruto echoed, eyes sparkling with excitement. Like puppies? Exactly. But they're toads. Jiraiya laughed, pointing out how Naruto's cheeks puffed up as he considered the idea of having pet toads. Yeah, right. These orphans don't understand the good things in life either, he said seriously, his gaze distant, lost in thought. Jiraiya sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. The economic situation in this country is pretty grim, Naruto. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do about it, at least not now. Naruto nodded in understanding, but his brow furrowed with concern. I wish I could do something. You know? Something to ease their pain, Naruto replied, his voice filled with earnestness. Jiraiya met his gaze, his expression softening. I felt the same way, too, Naruto. But there are some things that just take time. People have to sort themselves out eventually. Jiraiya reassured him, the weight of his own experiences reflecting in his tone. I guess you're right, pervy sage, Naruto said, a playful smirk creeping onto his face. Jiraiya hung his head in mock defeat. I told you not to call me that, he muttered, though Naruto only shook his head. Never gonna stop calling you what you are, pervy sage. He emphasized the words, pervy, and sage, making Jiraiya roll his eyes and decide to drop the topic. Okay, brat. We need to move. Let's get to the port, he said, prompting Naruto to nod eagerly and start sealing away their belongings. As they made their way toward the port, Naruto took in the sights around him. The city was cloaked in an overwhelming sense of poverty, a stark reminder of the hardships that plagued the people. He couldn't shake the feeling of helplessness creeping over him. It stirred memories of his own childhood, how he had struggled and fought for acceptance while being ostracized by the village. At least no one here has to be accused of being a demon, he thought to himself as he watched a boy and a girl fighting over a rice cake. His heart sank when he saw the boy tear the cake in half, offering half to the girl. At least they understood the importance of sharing. He wished someone had done that for him in his time of need. Maybe if someone had helped him when he was troubled, things would have been different. But luck had never been on his side. Soon, they arrived at a small dock where they spotted a tall man alongside an older man, who wore glasses and emitted a strong smell of alcohol. I'm looking for a boat that can take us to the whirlpool, which isn't too far from here, Jiraiya said, addressing the two men. The taller man stepped forward, his expression apologetic. I'm sorry, but I don't row. I'm a farmer, and my father is a bridge builder. However, I have a friend who can take you there, he said. That's all right. I don't mind at all, Jiraiya replied, showing his willingness to accept help. The taller man began walking toward another boat when the drunken older man suddenly stopped him. Kaiza, for all we know, these could be Gato's men, he said with a slur in his words. Why should we help them? Kaiza shook his head, clearly frustrated. Father, it looks like you've had too much to drink. Tsunami will be unhappy again, he remarked, shaking his head as the old man moved away, grumbling. After a few minutes, Kaiza returned with a man wearing a hat. This man here is good. He'll take you to your destination. But be careful, don't venture into the whirlpool. Many people have died trying to go there. There's an island near the whirlpool, which is the only safe place, he advised. The rower stepped forward and shook Jiraiya's hand, a warm smile on his face. It'll be a pleasure to take you there. Jiraiya nodded appreciatively. If you don't mind me asking, why do you want to go there anyway? Kaiza inquired. I'm sorry, but that's confidential, Jiraiya replied, a hint of caution in his voice. Kaiza nodded in understanding. Very well. I wish you a happy journey, he said as they exchanged farewells. Jiraiya and Naruto boarded the boat, excitement brewing within them. You know, pervy sage, maybe we could have flown there. This boat trip seems unnecessary, Naruto suggested, glancing at Jiraiya. Naruto, it would be impossible to fly there because of the mist that surrounds the area, Jiraiya explained, shaking his head. Mist? Was that put there for additional protection? Naruto asked curiously. Yes. Your clansmen were very clever, Jiraiya replied, pride lacing his words. Of course they were, Naruto said, grinning as he imagined the brilliance of his ancestors. 3 hours later, they found themselves close to a massive whirlpool. An island was positioned perilously at the edge of the vortex, and the rower skillfully maneuvered the boat to land them safely. After Jiraiya paid him more than necessary, Naruto and Jiraiya stepped onto the small island, which wasn't very wide. Naruto, use your blood, Jiraiya instructed. Naruto nodded, biting his thumb and letting some of his blood drip onto the ground. The effect was immediate. The swirling waters of the whirlpool ceased, replaced by a radiant light. Space-time barrier ninjutsu. The Uzumaki clan accomplished things like this thanks to a seal. Only the members of the village could access it. And since you're a blood relative, you can too, Jiraiya explained, his voice filled with reverence. They stepped through the bright light, and suddenly they were transported to an entirely different place. The village of Uzushi. Welcome to your home village, kid, Jiraiya said, smiling at the astonishment on Naruto's face. The village was breathtaking, built on a shimmering body of water, with houses and buildings perched atop small islands, much like the one they had just left. The islands were connected by wooden planks tied together, forming bridges, crude but effective. Fortification seals were inscribed on the planks, ensuring their durability. This is amazing, Naruto exclaimed, his eyes wide with wonder as he took in the sights, causing Jiraiya to chuckle at his enthusiasm. It is, isn't it? Now, let's head to the place where the leader of the clan lived, Jiraiya said, gesturing toward a massive house visible even among the other structures. As they approached the grand building, it became evident that although the architecture was intact, the place felt desolate, as if it had been abandoned for a long time. Upon reaching the large gates, Naruto found that blood was once again required for entry. Complying, he made another small cut and let his blood touch the surface. With a soft creak, the gates swung open, revealing a vast interior. Listen, Naruto, I have to stop here, Jiraiya said suddenly, causing Naruto to turn, puzzled. This place might be booby-trapped, and only an Uzumaki can navigate it safely. I think you should go on your own from here, he explained. Naruto nodded, determination coursing through him as he ventured inside. As he explored the house, he found little of significance aside from the unique design. However, he soon stumbled upon a diary in one of the rooms and flipped it open. I just got news that my daughter has found herself a lover, and I am extremely happy today. It is a person worthy of being an Uzumaki. After all, he is known as the Yellow Flash for a reason. The war has taken a toll on us, and we have lost so much that I don't think we will make it through this. I hope she can forgive me. I don't even have the time to write these days. And she seems really worried about me too. I hope they have a kid. I will leave all I have to him or her. One entry read. Naruto stared at the cover of the diary. Many pages were missing, and the title read, Diary of the Clan Leader. Flipping through the pages, he found another entry that caught his attention. Today I had to send Kushina away. The saddest day of my life. I wonder if I will see her face to face again. I promised to send some letters, but I can never see my daughter again. I hope Mito-sama takes care of her, it said. A smile spread across Naruto's face as he realized that the clan leader was his grandfather, making him the unofficial leader of a clan that seemed to have only one remaining member. He continued to flip through the diary until a letter slipped from the pages and fell to the ground. Along with it was a key. Curious, he picked it up and began reading the letter aloud. Dear grandchild. This is for the future, as I am not sure if I will even get to have a grandchild. However, I know what the blood of your father and mother is like, and I can predict what your blood will be like. I want to entrust you with my sword. I call it the butterfly, but it doesn't really have a name. This sword, which you will find in the vault behind the room, can only be opened with the key and a blood donation. It is called so because it is so light. It feels like you are holding thin air. This is thanks to all the seals that have been used in the making of this blade. You can also channel elemental chakra through it. I don't know if you will ever locate this blade, but I want to let you know that you are a proud Uzumaki, and you can never let that blood die out. Your grandfather, who wants to see you grow strong. Uzumaki Shinta. What a fantastic legacy, Naruto whispered, his heart swelling with pride. His grandfather's encouragement filled him with warmth, as he had finally found his connection to his family. With the letter still in his hand, Naruto turned to find the vault, his determination soaring. He needed to claim the sword and honor his family's legacy, ensuring that the Uzumaki name would continue to thrive. 2 days later, Naruto returned to Konoha alongside Jiraiya, his sword securely strapped to his back, as they stepped into the Hokage's office. Sarutobi looked up from a mountain of paperwork, surprised that they had been able to recover what remained of the Uzumaki clan in such a short time. You're back already? I expected it would take longer, Sarutobi remarked. a mixture of relief and curiosity in his voice. But his surprise deepened as Jiraiya explained the remarkable developments regarding Naruto's powers. "So you're telling me that Naruto doesn't need a contract to summon animals?" Sarutobi asked incredulously, raising an eyebrow. "Exactly," Jiraiya confirmed, his expression thoughtful. "It's one of the powers granted by those eyes of his. I can't help but wonder what else they can do." Sarutobi sighed, leaning back in his chair as he pondered the implications. Naruto was progressing at an astonishing rate. At this pace, he might soon surpass even Sarutobi himself. The thought filled the Hokage with a blend of pride and apprehension. He had always envisioned Naruto as the future Hokage. Maybe not as the Godam, given his young age. But perhaps the Rokudame was not an unrealistic aspiration. After all, Naruto's rich heritage tied him to all previous Hokages, including Sarutobi himself. Even if the notion of fate was, in his mind, absurd, it felt as though Naruto was destined for greatness. "What do you think we should do about his training?" Jiraiya asked, a glint of enthusiasm in his eyes. Sarutobi smiled knowingly, recognizing his former student's eagerness. "Of course you want to train him. You've always been a hard worker. I admire that about you," he said. The memories of Orochimaru's defection lingered in Sarutobi's mind. But he found comfort in the fact that Jiraiya had remained close. "Well, what do you suggest, Jiraiya-kun?" Sarutobi continued. "A training trip. Let me take him with me. I can teach him all sorts of jutsus and help him reach your level. I know he has the potential, especially with those eyes and his hard work. When he comes back, he'll be ready to integrate into the ninja corps," Jiraiya replied excitedly. Sarutobi nodded, considering the idea. "That's a good thought. But," he paused, weighing his next words carefully. Jiraiya's curiosity was piqued. "But what? I want Naruto to grow up around kids his age. I know that your training will elevate him. But you could leave your instructions in a scroll or something. Right? I want him to experience a normal childhood here," Sarutobi said, his voice firm yet gentle. Jiraiya blinked, caught off guard. "Have you gone senile, old man? You want him to stay here after everything? After all the beatings he's taken from those drunk villagers? You really want to keep him?" Jiraiya questioned, disbelief evident in his tone. "Listen, Jiraiya-kun. Try to understand. He needs to learn the value of friendship. While I know you've grown fond of him, I don't believe you're the kind of mentor Naruto truly needs," Sarutobi explained, his voice steady. "Friends? What friends? The parents tell their kids to stay away from the demon brat." Jiraiya spat, the bitterness evident in his words. Sarutobi sighed again, feeling the weight of the village's prejudice. "Look, I want you to train him. But I need you to do it here, within the village. Is that clear?" he asked, his tone firm. Jiraiya scowled, but eventually nodded, conceding to the Hokage's wishes. "Fine. But this is going to be a pain. My reasons are a little selfish, too. Jiraiya-kun. He's like a grandchild to me. How can I just send him off with a pervert and not expect him to come back a total peeping Tom?" Sarutobi added, trying to lighten the mood. It worked. A grin broke across Jiraiya's face. "That brat will never be as good as me. I'm the super pervert. He's just a nobody," he chuckled. "Let's stick to the original schedule, 2 months after Naruto's first Chunin exams," Sarutobi suggested, trying to maintain focus. "By then, the brat won't need a trip," Jiraiya replied with a dismissive wave before leaping out of the window, his laughter echoing in the hallway. "Windows suck," Sarutobi thought, shaking his head as he returned to the mountainous paperwork that awaited him. Flashback: Naruto resumed training soon after returning, his godfather's departure leaving him with an intense determination to improve. Jiraiya had run off to conduct research for his next book, whatever that meant, leaving Naruto with scrolls full of jutsu. He dove into his studies, mastering most of the techniques quickly, his excitement palpable as he remembered his previous spar with the Hokage. It was almost night, 2 days after Jiraiya had left. Naruto had been honing his skills, his sword whispering wisdom as he practiced the techniques it had instructed him on. Suddenly, the door creaked open, and Sarutobi stepped in, his wise eyes sparkling with interest. Ah, Naruto. How is your training coming along? He asked, a genuine smile gracing his face. Excellent, old man. I think I can beat you now? Naruto declared, his enthusiasm infectious. Sarutobi raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. Really? Well, do you want to spar? Ninjutsu and taijutsu only. I'm afraid I can't keep up with kenjutsu anymore. I'm too old for that, Sarutobi replied, a playful glint in his eyes. All right, let's begin. Naruto shouted, his competitive spirit ignited. The sparring match began. Naruto charged at Sarutobi, launching a flurry of punches and kicks. But the old man blocked them effortlessly, moving with a grace that belied his age. Naruto-kun, Sarutobi said, blocking a palm strike aimed at his heart. Instinct improves with age. When you grow up to be my age, you'll understand, he advised, a hint of nostalgia in his voice. He retaliated with a punch, which Naruto narrowly blocked. But the force sent him staggering back. Recovering quickly, Naruto decided to showcase his jutsu. Fire style. Phoenix Sage Fire, he shouted, launching multiple fiery projectiles towards the Hokage. With a series of swift hand seals, Sarutobi countered. Water style. Water Fang Bullet, he exclaimed, shooting out water projectiles that neutralized Naruto's flames. I see you've learned to use fewer hand seals. That shows good control, Naruto-kun, Sarutobi praised, earning a proud grin from Naruto. Well, that's not all I've got, Naruto boasted, forming shadow clones, about 50 in total. Let's see you dodge all of them, old man, he challenged, charging forward with confidence. However, Sarutobi stood firm, his eyes sharp. Fire style. Flame flower, Sarutobi declared, leaping into the air and releasing a torrent of fire that obliterated all but 3 of Naruto's clones. Great, Naruto thought, determination boiling within him. I'll just have to bring out the big guns. Naruto-kun, Sarutobi warned, already having completed his hand seals while Naruto hesitated. Never ponder in battle. You're too young for that, he advised. Fire style. Great dragon fireballs, he shouted, launching massive fireballs at Naruto. In a panic, Naruto shouted, crystal style. Crystal dome, surrounding himself in a protective barrier just in time. The fireballs struck, but the dome held firm, and Naruto smiled, thinking he had gained the upper hand. Yet, Sarutobi was not done. Earth release. Double suicide decapitation, he exclaimed as he emerged from beneath the ground, ensnaring Naruto in the earth, leaving only his head exposed. Not bad at all, Naruto, Sarutobi said, a smile playing on his lips. But you're still a bit green. I can tell that in a few years, you'll defeat me without breaking a sweat. As the dome receded, Naruto chuckled. Who said I haven't beaten you now, old man? He taunted, as the Naruto stuck in the ground poofed away. Shadow clone, Sarutobi realized, just as another Naruto leapt from the bushes. This is it, my instant kill jutsu, Naruto declared, confidence surging through him. Sarutobi's eyes widened. Curiosity peaked. What are you planning? Orig no jutsu, Naruto shouted, transforming into a naked girl with smoke covering her private parts. Sarutobi's eyes widened in shock, and a nosebleed erupted, causing him to slump to the ground, unconscious. I win, and you're a perv, Naruto thought triumphantly. End flashback. Even though Naruto had technically knocked out the Hokage, he understood he had lost in a broader sense. Any other opponent would have defeated him soundly, and he realized that raw power meant little without strategy. Determined to grow, Naruto set out to become a tactician, even if it would take time, to speed up his learning process. He began playing tactical games like shogi and chess with his friends, eager to absorb every lesson they had to offer. Tsuneo Hattori, one of the wealthiest merchants in Konoha, had built his empire through years of shrewd dealings and relentless ambition. He cherished his daughter Ayumi, a bright and spirited girl who represented his hopes for the future. During a journey to the capital of the Fire Country, Tsuneo and Ayumi's trip took a dark turn when they were ambushed by a ruthless band of bandits. In the chaos, Ayumi was snatched away, leaving Tsuneo frantic and desperate for her safe return. Meanwhile, Naruto Uzumaki had recently been authorized by the Hokage to undertake some small C-rank missions, a step towards gaining real-world experience as a ninja. When news of Ayumi's abduction reached him, he felt a surge of determination. He infiltrated the bandit camp, relying on his training and instincts. With swift and decisive movements, he dispatched the bandits one by one, showcasing his growing strength and skill. By the time he found Ayumi, she was traumatized but unharmed, a testament to Naruto's resolve. He escorted her back to safety, fully aware of the weight this mission carried. Tsuneo, initially skeptical and filled with hatred for Naruto, the so-called demon brat, was stunned when he learned that his daughter's savior was the very person he had scorned. However, the Hokage had instructed him to keep the identity of Ayumi's rescuer a secret until the time was right, relieved that his daughter was safe. Tsuneo felt a conflicting sense of satisfaction knowing that Naruto would not receive credit for his actions. Yet, when Ayumi returned home and spoke glowingly about her hero, Tsuneo felt an unexpected urge to confront Naruto himself. When Tsuneo arrived at Naruto's rundown apartment, he was taken aback by the squalor in which the young ninja lived. The stark contrast between their lives struck him. He had been born into wealth, yet here stood Naruto, a hero living in such conditions. As Naruto opened the door, his casual demeanor clashed with Tsuneo's righteous indignation. "Ah, Hattori-san," Naruto greeted, eyes bright with curiosity. "How can I help you? I want to talk to you. Can I come inside?" Tsuneo asked, his voice stern. Naruto shook his head, a slight smirk playing on his lips. "Sorry, I'm busy. Let's just talk here. I'm sure you wouldn't want to waste time with the likes of me." His tone dripped with cynicism, prompting Tsuneo to frown. "I want to know why you saved my daughter," Tsuneo pressed, his curiosity mixed with suspicion. "You knew she was mine and that I've been one of your most vocal detractors. Why would you risk your life for her? How did you become so strong?" Naruto smiled, the sincerity of his response surprising Tsuneo. "Simple. Your daughter is innocent. What kind of person would I be if I let an innocent girl die just because I dislike her father? And even if it was you in danger, I would have saved you. Your business is vital for the village. And as a protector of Konoha, it's my duty to save its members." Tsuneo left soon after, his mind racing. The more he reflected, the more he realized that if Naruto truly bore any demonic influence, his daughter would have been dead. What kind of demon would act so selflessly? Tsuneo sought the Hokage's counsel, questioning the extent of the seal's influence on Naruto. The Hokage assured him that the seal was a masterwork of the Yondaime and wouldn't simply malfunction. From that day forward, Tsuneo's perception of Naruto began to shift. He became more tolerant, allowing Ayumi to visit him occasionally, and even intervened to stop the villagers from speaking ill of Naruto. He also began selling Naruto's favorite snacks at fair prices in his establishments. As time passed, other villagers began to reconsider their stance on Naruto, acknowledging that he had protected them from true evil. Though Tsuneo never revealed his changing sentiments to Naruto, the merchant noticed that the young ninja was gradually altering the village's collective opinion. The people were beginning to see Naruto not as the demon they once despised, but as a protector who stood against darkness. The years flew by, and Naruto continued to accept low-risk missions while training with Kakashi Hatake, a skilled Junin and a student of Naruto's father. The training was discreet, providing Naruto with invaluable knowledge and skills. Anko Mitarashi also took Naruto under her wing, recognizing his potential in interrogation and tactics. By the time graduation from the academy approached, Naruto had grown significantly stronger, rivaling the elite Junin. However, he maintained the facade of being the class's dead last, a role he played to perfection. Naruto also developed a close bond with Iruka Amino, whom he regarded as a brother. Through Naruto's connections, Iruka and Anko had formed a relationship, bringing joy to Naruto as he witnessed their bond grow. He smiled, reminiscing about the day Anko had first met Iruka. Life was good. Academy graduation exam day at 13 years old. Naruto sat in the academy, staring at the exam papers with a mixture of boredom and anxiety. The academy exams had turned out to be a monotonous blend of a simple written test and a clone jutsu demonstration. Although he managed to pass with flying colors on the practical portion, the written exam had left him at the bottom of the rankings once again. Great. Dead last again. He grumbled, sweat beading on his forehead as he scrutinized the list. Sakura had emerged as the kunoichi of the year, thanks to her perfect written scores, while Hinata and Ino tied for second. Though happy for Hinata, Naruto felt indifferent about Sakura and Ino. Shikamaru, Choji, and Kiba were all above him, with Shino leading the pack as the second best in class. Good for him, Naruto thought, glancing away. Hey, Naruto. A voice jolted him from his thoughts. Mizuki, one of the teachers who Naruto suspected had a personal vendetta against him, approached. Naruto braced himself for whatever manipulative scheme Mizuki had planned. I know you're upset about being dead last, but I have a secret test for you, Mizuki said, his eyes gleaming with mischief. If you pass it, you could be promoted to Chunin. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Skeptical. Really? He asked, slipping into an overly enthusiastic tone, bouncing up and down as if he believed Mizuki's lies. You'll need to steal the forbidden scroll of sealing and learn a jutsu from it. Only the dead last has the chance to prove himself to the Hokage, Mizuki continued, smirking at Naruto's apparent naivety. I'll think about it, Naruto replied, masking his suspicions behind a facade of excitement. After Mizuki left, Naruto contemplated the situation. Sneaking past the Hokage? That sounds fun, he thought, a mischievous grin forming on his face. Later that night, under the cover of darkness, Naruto crept into the Hokage's office, intent on uncovering the scroll. His Rinnegan allowed him to mask his chakra, evading detection as he slipped into the room. He could feel the thrill of adrenaline coursing through him. Time for my revenge, he muttered, remembering all the times the Hokage had bested him in sparring matches. Gotcha, he shouted, startling the Hokage, who had just settled into his chair. Sarutobi jumped, eyes wide with surprise. Naruto, you scared me, he exclaimed, a hand on his chest as he settled back into his seat. What was that for? Naruto chuckled, his tone playful. Just showing you I can sneak up on you, old man. I can't lose to geezers like you. The Hokage sighed, a smile creeping onto his face. I'm known as the god of shinobi for a reason. Kid, I won't be that easy to take down. Yeah, but it's Org no Jutsu easy. Naruto shot back, his grin widening. Sarutobi's expression shifted to one of concern. That jutsu is dangerous, and I'm considering putting it in the forbidden scroll of sealing. Speaking of which, Mizuki told me there's a secret test for dead last students. Naruto began, eyes twinkling with mischief. He said if I steal the scroll and learn a jutsu, I can become a Chunin. TCH. Naruto, where did you pick up that foul mouth? Sarutobi chuckled, shaking his head. That's not true. Mizuki is a traitor. You should go ahead with it. I'm sure you can handle him. Naruto nodded, determination fueling his resolve. Old man, make sure Mizuki knows I've taken the scroll, he called back as he dashed out the window. Oh, for the love of, Sarutobi sighed, exasperated, watching the young ninja disappear into the night. In a secluded area, Naruto unfurled the scroll, excitement bubbling within him as he skimmed through the jutsu. His heart raced as he landed on the shadow clone jutsu. Naruto, return the scroll now, Iruka commanded, his voice firm yet laced with concern. Naruto, caught up in a moment of defiance, stuck his tongue out in response, a childish act that only served to heighten Iruka's agitation. Naruto. Iruka's voice escalated, the irritation boiling over. Give me the scroll. His words were abruptly cut off as a kunai struck him squarely in the chest. Burying deep into his heart, time seemed to freeze for Naruto. He turned in horror, his eyes widening as he registered the figure of Mizuki, the traitor, smirking from the shadows. Iruka collapsed to the ground, lifeless, a pool of crimson spreading around him. Meanwhile, in a dimly lit chamber, Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage, stared in shock at his crystal ball. Witnessing the unfolding tragedy, his heart raced with dread as he processed the scene. The sight of Iruka, a dedicated teacher and a mentor to Naruto, falling lifelessly pierced through him. Sarutobi's mind raced with concern, fearing that this event might trigger the dark power sealed within Naruto. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he decided a personal visit was necessary. In a mental landscape, Naruto found himself facing the formidable presence of the Nine Tails. "Naruto," the fox's voice rumbled, a deep echo in the confines of his mind. "Don't lose control. Calm down." But Naruto was beyond reason, driven purely by instinct and emotion. It felt as if an ancient force within him was guiding his actions, taking control at that very moment. "Naruto, or should I tell you what you really are?" Mizuki taunted, his eyes narrowing as he stepped closer. Instantly, Naruto's eyes glowed a fierce red, the tomo of the Rinnegan swirling with raw power. Mizuki stumbled back, visibly shaken by the transformation. "I will deal with you personally," Naruto said, his voice low and menacing, each word dripping with a terrifying calm that took Mizuki by surprise. Yet, Mizuki quickly masked his fear with bravado. "Oh sure. A dead last loser like you will take care of me. A chunin? I believe you." His mocking tone rang hollow in the charged atmosphere. But Naruto was already performing hand seals. "Illusion technique. Infinite darkness," he declared, unleashing a wave of chakra that enveloped Mizuki. The room was filled with a palpable darkness that seemed to swallow all light, plunging Mizuki into a nightmare realm. Mizuki thrashed wildly. Panic etched across his face as he fought against the genjutsu. It was too strong, he couldn't break free. Then something shifted within Naruto. A surge of energy that felt foreign yet familiar. "I will save you, Iruka Sensei," he proclaimed, his voice ringing with resolve as he formed the seals again. "Naraka path," he chanted, and from the shadows emerged a towering statue, an entity that radiated an ominous aura. The statue bore Naruto's distinctive Rinnegan eyes, a chilling reflection of his own power. It extended its grotesque tongue, reaching towards Iruka's lifeless form. A brilliant green light erupted around the statue as it enveloped Iruka, drawing him inside, the essence of life swirling around him. "King of Hell!" the Kyuubi exclaimed, its voice filled with an unfamiliar fear. "How?" In a dark void, Iruka found himself suspended, trapped in a state of limbo. "I died," he thought, disbelief washing over him. "What will I tell Anko when she gets here? She is going to kill me again. And what about Naruto? I wanted to be there when he becomes Hokage. But now that will never happen." A voice pierced through the shadows, familiar and comforting. "Iruka." Time seemed to stretch indefinitely as he turned toward the source. Standing before him were his parents, their expressions a mix of sadness and pride. Mom? Dad?" Iruka stammered, the reality of his situation crashing down upon him. "So, I am dead." "Not yet. Just in limbo," his father said somberly. "The death god will come soon to take you away. But where you go, we do not know." Tears streamed down Iruka's face. "I'm sorry, Iruka. Both of us are for leaving you like this. But we are so proud of you," his mother reassured him, her voice gentle and warm. Overcome with emotion, Iruka began to weep, grief surging as he processed the magnitude of his death. Suddenly, he felt a pull, a radiant green energy that wrapped around him like a cocoon. "Wow," his father said, a hint of awe in his tone. "Looks like you have work to do. Son, I guess you will not join us here yet. I am proud of you, Iruka-kun," his mother added softly, her gaze filled with love. Iruka felt the energy tugging at him, a surge of hope igniting in his heart. Back in the living world, Naruto watched, transfixed, as the statue with his eyes drew Iruka from the depths of despair. Green light enveloped Iruka's body, illuminating the darkened space. What the hell?" Iruka gasped as he regained consciousness. The knife wound healed, leaving no trace behind. The scene felt surreal, like a dream. "You are more similar to the sage than I thought, kid. He was the only one I know that could do this. This technique is called the samsara of heavenly life," the fox explained, a hint of respect in its voice. Naruto beamed as he watched Iruka rise. Then ran forward, tackling his teacher in a tight embrace. "I thought you had died," he sobbed, relief flooding through him. "I'm fine now, Naruto. Iruka reassured, slightly uncomfortable but touched by Naruto's display of emotion. "I wonder how it happened, though." Naruto turned to Mizuki, who was still flailing in the darkness. "What happened to him, Naruto?" Iruka asked, confusion evident in his eyes. Naruto's expression hardened as he faced Mizuki. "Ha! I knew I broke it." Mizuki crowed triumphantly as he emerged from the dark, only to freeze in terror at the sight of Iruka, alive and well. The look of horror on Mizuki's face intensified as he noticed the demonic statue before him, its serpent-like tongue poised threateningly. Naruto stepped forward, a predator closing in on its prey. Iruka watched in awe, still processing the surreal events. "You did not," Naruto said, gripping Mizuki's throat. "Break it," he finished coldly. "I spared you. Have mercy." Mizuki cried out, desperation creeping into his voice. But Naruto was far from forgiving. "Tell me, then, why did you want the scroll?" he demanded, his eyes narrowing. "I wanted to blame you for its theft while I escaped. I wanted the power for myself so that I could prove myself to Orochimaru-sama," Mizuki confessed, the fear palpable in his tone. "I see," Naruto replied, the statue's tongue retracting from Mizuki's body. He slumped to the ground, utterly defeated. "You have survived judgment," Naruto said simply. "But I don't know if you will survive Ibiki-san's torture. Old man, you can come out now," Naruto called, his voice echoing in the clearing. "Naruto, what did you do to him and how?" Sarutobi emerged from the shadows, concern etched on his features. Naruto pointed to his eyes with pride. Sarutobi's expression shifted from shock to awe as he saw Iruka alive. "Iruka, I thought you were." "I was, Hokage-sama. But Naruto here saved me," Iruka replied, a mix of gratitude and confusion in his voice. "Naruto, how powerful are those eyes of yours?" Sarutobi pondered, admiration blooming within him. "I would have cut the head off this bastard, but I left my sword back home," Naruto said casually. "You need to get this bastard interrogated, man. I have to prepare for my ninja orientation in 2 days." With that, he vanished in a flash, leaving behind a bewildered Iruka and an unconscious Mizuki. Days later, as Naruto approached the academy building, he felt a surge of excitement. It was 2 days after the Mizuki incident, and things had mostly returned to normal, except for the fact that Enko had found a way to punish Iruka. Whenever Naruto asked about it, Iruka would turn as red as a tomato. "Thank God you're alive. What a fun moment that was," Iruka had muttered once, flustered, leaving Naruto utterly confused. "What does that mean?" Naruto had asked, perplexed. "You'll understand when you're older," Iruka replied, avoiding his gaze. When Naruto sought clarification from Yugo, she explained that she and Hayate shared similar moments every time one of them returned from an A-rank mission. Still, Naruto remained baffled by the implication. Upon entering the academy, he headed straight to the classroom, spotting Shikamaru sprawled across his desk, dozing peacefully. "Hey, wake up, lazy bones," Naruto exclaimed, smacking the back of his head playfully, eliciting a giggle from Hinata, who sat nearby. "Troublesome," Shikamaru mumbled, rubbing the back of his head. "Why do you wake me up all the time?" "Oh come on, Shika. It's time for the ninja groupings to be announced," Naruto replied, his excitement bubbling over. Just then, Sakura and Ino burst into the room, undoubtedly eyeing the seat next to Sasuke. Naruto sighed. "I don't want either of those fangirls on my team," he thought to himself. 5 minutes later, Iruka stood at the front of the class, a stack of papers in hand. "Team 7, Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, and Sakura Haruno," he announced. "What the hell?" Naruto shouted, disbelief washing over him as Shikamaru jolted awake beside him. "Team 7, Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, and Sakura Haruno," Iruka announced, his voice ringing throughout the classroom. "What the hell? Naruto shouted, his disbelief echoing off the walls. Beside him, Shikamaru was jolted awake from his doze, his hair tousled and eyes bleary. Iruka-sensei. I don't want her on my team. Change my team, please. Naruto exclaimed, his voice a mix of desperation and indignation. His hands gripped the edges of his desk, knuckles white with frustration. Iruka merely scowled at him, crossing his arms. Naruto, the teams are decided by the Hokage. If you have any problem with the arrangements, take it up with him. Iruka replied firmly, trying to maintain order amidst the chaos. Meanwhile, Sakura sat frozen in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions, torn between elation and frustration. I'm on Sasuke-kun's team, but Naruto Baka is on it too. What am I supposed to do? Laugh or cry? She muttered under her breath, glancing between the two boys with a frown. Shikamaru sighed, shaking his head as Choji munched on a packet of chips, ever the opportunist with food. Sorry, Naruto, Choji said, his mouth full. I don't envy you being on a team with a brooder and a total fangirl. But hey, he added, laughing, at least it'll be entertaining. Troublesome. Shikamaru muttered, leaning back in his chair. Why are we even so bothered about the teams? He asked, his voice drowsy. Naruto playfully smacked the back of his head. Wake up. Shika. This is important. Naruto shot back, a mischievous grin on his face. Shikamaru glared at him, a silent warning not to disturb his precious sleep. Sensei, Iruka continued, cutting through the chatter, is Kakashi Hatake all right? Naruto exclaimed, his spirits suddenly lifting. Both Sasuke and Sakura glanced at him, intrigued by his sudden enthusiasm. Kakashi-sensei is probably the best teacher we could have gotten. He was the captain of Anbu until 2 years ago before he retired and became a Junin sensei. Naruto explained, his excitement palpable. Sakura seemed indifferent, but Sasuke's smirk hinted at his ambition. Yes, Sasuke thought, his mind racing with possibilities. With the guidance of the strongest Anbu in the village, I will gain the power to defeat my brother. Team 8. Iruka continued, shaking off the distraction. Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, and Shino Aburame. Your sensei is Yuhi Kurenai. Do you know about Kurenai too, Naruto? Sasuke asked, raising an eyebrow. Naruto shook his head. She only got promoted recently, so I don't have any info. But what does it matter to you anyway? He shot back. Team 10, Iruka said, pushing forward, is Shikamaru Nara, Ino Yamanaka, and Choji Akamichi. A loud chorus of, what? Erupted from Ino Yamanaka, her voice piercing through the classroom as realization dawned on Naruto that the Ino Shika Cho trio was being reformed. Iruka-sensei, I don't want to be on a team with the fat guy and the lazy guy. Ino screeched, her frustration palpable. Choji, caught off guard, opened his mouth to respond, but Shikamaru simply sighed, rolling his eyes as he returned to his nap. Well, Ino, the lazy guy and the fat guy are much more competent than you think, Naruto retorted sharply. So just shut up, will you? His words stunned Ino into silence, while Sakura cheered from the sidelines. Hoo-hoo, Ino. The dead last put you in your place. What a shame. Sakura teased, a smirk plastered on her face. You're no better, Sakura. Actually, you're worse than me, Naruto countered, his eyes narrowing. Even Konohamaru, an 8-year-old kid, could beat you in a one-on-one. Sasuke watched, a slight smirk playing on his lips as he took in the banter. Naruto wasn't finished, though. You didn't actually think that Sasuke would go out with you, did you? I mean, look at him. He's focused on getting stronger to kill someone. Weaklings like you would just slow him down. Plus, you have a really wide forehead. So, he finished with a dismissive wave before striding away. Naruto. Ino called after him, her cheeks flushed with anger. That was uncalled for, but Naruto shrugged, brushing off her words as he reached the door. Iruka watched him leave, a shocked expression on his face. He had thought Naruto secretly liked Sakura. Class, Naruto announced, turning to face his classmates. Your senseis will pick you up after lunch. Team 7. Ours will be 3 hours late. Screw this. I'm leaving. With that, he stepped out, leaving a stunned silence in his wake. Iruka took a moment to gather himself before saying, like he said, class dismissed. Later that day at Ichiraku Ramen, Naruto was halfway through his 5th bowl when Sasuke called out to him. He turned, irritation crossing his face at being interrupted during his meal. Yeah. Sasuke. What is it? He asked, trying to mask his annoyance. I know you're stronger than you let on, Sasuke said, his voice steady as he leaned closer. Naruto raised an eyebrow, feigning ignorance. Huh? I saw you at the training grounds yesterday. Tell me, who taught you that Bansho Tenin Jutsu? I want to learn it too. Sasuke pressed, determination in his voice. Naruto smirked, leaning back with a casual air. No. Sasuke's glare intensified. I'm the rookie of the year. And you're the dead last. How can you learn such a powerful jutsu while I can't? Naruto decided it was time to clear the air. Listen, Sasuke. You can't learn it. It's my bloodline limit, he explained, watching as Sasuke's eyes widened in shock. You have a clan? He asked, genuinely surprised. Yep. The Uzumaki clan from Uzushigakure. They were wiped out years ago. My mother was the last survivor. We had the jutsu that attracts everything to ourselves. Sorry, but I can't teach you, Naruto said with a hint of pride. I just know it. Sasuke replied, folding his arms, contemplating this new information. Naruto pulled out a chair for him, gesturing for him to sit. You know, when your family died, I was really happy, Naruto said, catching Sasuke off guard. The Uchiha's glare sharpened instantly. What do you mean? Sasuke demanded, his voice low. Oh. No. Not like that. I was sad that your whole clan was wiped out. But I was secretly happy you survived. I thought I'd finally have someone who understood the loneliness I've known all my life. Naruto clarified, the weight of his words hanging between them. Sasuke regarded him thoughtfully. You were lonely? Yeah. I was in an orphanage. And then I got kicked out. I was on the streets for 2 days until the old man took me in, Naruto recounted, sighing. So, I thought we could be friends or something. Then why didn't you say anything? Sasuke asked, genuinely curious. I thought your obsession with revenge wouldn't let you have friends, Naruto replied with a shrug. Listen, we have to cooperate with each other to be a fully functional team, Sasuke said, a hint of seriousness creeping into his tone. Naruto nodded in agreement. Good. You're smarter than the Banshee, he said, a grin breaking through. Tomorrow, we'll be given a test. No matter what it is, we have to work as a team. Trust me, I know Kakashi. He stresses the importance of teamwork. So we'll have to work together. Understood? Sasuke nodded, a silent agreement passing between them. Good. Naruto exclaimed, excitement bubbling up again. Old man, gimme another bowl. Hey. Sensei. Enough with the daydreaming about those pervy books. Let's get moving. Okay? Naruto exclaimed, his voice dripping with playful exasperation. Sasuke and Sakura nodded in agreement, their expressions reflecting a mix of annoyance and impatience. Kakashi felt a bead of sweat trickle down his brow. I'm losing face here, he thought, feeling the weight of their scrutiny. My first impression of you three? Annoying, he mused, his tone a blend of sarcasm and jest. Meet me on the roof. In an instant, he vanished in a swirl of leaves, leaving the trio behind. See you guys on the roof, Naruto shouted, his body crackling with a burst of electricity as he too disappeared. How did he do that? Sasuke wondered, eyebrows furrowing in curiosity. That was so cool, Sakura thought, admiration lighting up her features as she hurried to follow suit. Upon reaching the roof, they found Naruto adjusting his forehead protector with a grin, while Kakashi lounged against the railing, looking distinctly bored. What do you mean? Electricity looks cooler than leaves. I totally won that argument? Naruto insisted, crossing his arms defiantly. Kakashi shook his head, an amused smile creeping onto his face. Nope. Leaves are still cooler, he replied. Teasingly. What are you two talking about? Sakura interjected, her tone inquisitive. Nothing important, Pinky, Kakashi dismissed lightly, though the nickname earned him an irritated glare from Sakura and a playful smirk from Naruto. All right. Let's introduce ourselves. Name, likes, dislikes, and dreams for the future, Kakashi directed, a hint of seriousness creeping into his voice. You first, Inu-sensei, Naruto quipped, a mischievous glint in his eyes. Kakashi let out a small, annoyed HMPH at the nickname. Fine. I'm Kakashi Hitaki. I like a lot of things. Dislike a lot of things. And my dreams for the future. None of your damn business, he declared, a casual wave of his hand dismissing their curiosity. Both Sakura and Naruto dropped their jaws in disbelief. All he told us was his name. Naruto thought. Sakura, your turn, Kakashi said, motioning for her to go next. I'm Sakura Haruno. I like. She blushed slightly as she stole a glance at Sasuke. Her cheeks dusted pink. My dreams for the future, she started, only to let out a giggle that was both nervous and giddy, making Kakashi raise an eyebrow in bemusement. I dislike Ino and Naruto baka. She finished, hoping her jab at Naruto would sting. Surprisingly, Naruto looked pleased by the insult, as if it was a badge of honor. Blondie goes next, Kakashi prompted, directing the attention to Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. I like ramen and my friends. I dislike a lot of things. Wide foreheads with pink hair included, he retorted, a sly grin directed at Sakura, whose expression darkened with irritation. As for my dreams, I want to become Hokage and protect the village, because that's my duty, and also restore my clan to greatness, he proclaimed, determination radiating from him. Naruto baka. You don't have a clan. Why are you lying? Your parents were probably stupid idiots who left you because they realized you were worse than them. Sakura shot back, her words laced with spite, hoping to hurt him. Oh boy, Kakashi thought, watching Naruto's reaction. In response, Naruto turned away from them, his jaw tightening. Bansho Tennen, he declared, and in an instant, Sakura was yanked toward him, unable to brace herself. With his other hand, he formed a swirling blue orb of chakra, its ominous energy crackling with potential. He placed his hand firmly on her neck, the jutsu hovering dangerously close to her head. At the last moment, the ball dissipated, and Naruto simply smacked Sakura lightly on the forehead instead. You could have died, Sakura-chan. He spat out, each word laced with intensity. Be glad you're a comrade, he added, while Kakashi silently breathed a sigh of relief, expecting a more severe outcome. Don't ever insult my family again. Do you hear me? He said, his grip firm yet not crushing. Sakura nodded quickly, understanding the weight of his warning. This guy. Sasuke thought, his curiosity piqued. How much is he hiding from us? Are you going to introduce yourself? Sasuke. Naruto prompted, finally releasing Sakura, who was now gasping for breath and looking at him with wide, fearful eyes. I am Sasuke Uchiha. I don't particularly like or dislike anything. My dream is to restore my clan and kill a certain someone, he stated flatly, the darkness in his words hanging heavy in the air. Okay. Kakashi interjected, shifting the atmosphere. Meet me at Training Ground 10 tomorrow at 5 a.m. for your final test before you become genin. He sighed as he realized they already knew about the test. And don't eat breakfast, you'll puke it out if you do. He finished, watching them nod in acknowledgement. Dismissed, Kakashi said, watching as Sasuke and Sakura headed off. Naruto, stay back. I want to talk to you, he said, his tone shifting to one of concern. As the others left, a tense silence fell between them, stretching nearly 5 minutes before Kakashi finally broke it. What was that? Why did you react that way? Because she insulted my parents? I can handle insults directed at me. But when it comes to my mom and dad, the very reason she's still alive, I lost control, Naruto replied, his voice steady but his emotions simmering beneath the surface. Kakashi sighed, sensing the weight of Naruto's words. I understand that. But as a ninja, you'll find many will try to provoke you. Are you really going to let yourself be goaded into something reckless? He asked, his gaze piercing. Naruto shook his head. I get it. But Kushina and Minato Sensei were like family to me. Ever since my teammates passed away, they meant everything to me. I was angry. But did you see me preparing a Chidori to shove down her chest? He countered, his voice gaining a hint of defiance. Kakashi rubbed the back of his neck, trying to find the right words. I know you're still learning. But you need to learn to control your emotions. All right? He pressed gently, his tone softening. Naruto nodded, a smile slowly returning to his face. I guess I'll apologize to her tomorrow, he said, determination shining through. See ya, Kakashi-sensei. He called before vanishing in a crackle of electricity. That was cool. I wonder how he does that. Kakashi pondered, shaking his head in amusement as he made his way back. The next morning, Naruto arrived at 7 o'clock, only to find Sakura and Sasuke waiting, both looking frustrated at his tardiness. Naruto, can I talk to you? Sakura asked, pulling him aside, her demeanor serious. My mother says I have to apologize to you. And I agree. Apparently, she knows your mom, and says that I insulted one of her best friends. I'm really sorry. Naruto's expression softened. Don't worry about it, Sakura. It's partly my fault too. I lost my temper, but I think it worked out. Your mom told me a lot about mine, so all is forgiven. I hope you can do the same for me. Sakura smiled, relief washing over her. It's my fault too. I always wanted to impress Sasuke-kun. And I wasn't acting the way I should have. After thinking it over, I realized that I've just been holding you back. It's my fault, she confessed, guilt evident in her eyes. You know, you could always train to get stronger. Maybe then Sasuke will notice you more, Naruto suggested, his grin returning. Really? You think so? She asked, her eyes lighting up with hope. Unless he's gay. But I don't think he is, Naruto added, a chuckle escaping his lips, which made Sakura giggle in return. Can you help me grow stronger so I can impress Sasuke-kun? She asked, her enthusiasm palpable. I'll help you. But only when you get your priorities straight, he replied, the seriousness returning to his tone. Sasuke isn't the reason you should train. You should gain strength to protect your precious people. The moment you realize that, you'll grow stronger. And I probably won't need to help you anymore. He encouraged. Don't let people tell you you're holding them back. Prove them wrong. There's no greater satisfaction than that. Sakura smiled brightly. Friends? She asked, extending her hand. Sure? Just try not to fangirl too much. And we'll be fine. He teased, taking her hand and shaking it firmly. Sakura scowled at his remark but couldn't suppress her laughter. As they turned, they noticed Sasuke approaching, and Naruto's expression shifted to determination. All right, let's go and kick some ass. Together, the trio headed towards Training Ground 10, ready to embrace the challenges ahead. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Sasuke shouted, drawing in a deep breath. Instantly, a massive fireball materialized between his hands, flickering with an intense blaze that threatened to incinerate everything in its path. The flames roared as they surged toward Kakashi, who swiftly leapt aside just in time, narrowly avoiding the engulfing heat. However, the moment he landed, Kakashi's foot caught on a hidden wire, triggering a trap concealed within the training ground. Who set this trap so quickly? Kakashi pondered as he executed a quick substitution jutsu, replacing himself with a nearby log that exploded into splinters upon impact with the fireball. Sasuke gritted his teeth, frustration spilling over. This bastard keeps escaping. Meanwhile, a safe distance away, Naruto and Sakura exchanged glances, wide-eyed at the spectacle unfolding before them. That was impressive, Naruto exclaimed, releasing Sakura from his grasp as he stepped back to admire Sasuke's skill. Thanks, Naruto, she replied, a hint of admiration in her voice. That's what teammates do, Naruto said, shrugging it off with a grin. Think nothing of it. Suddenly, Kakashi materialized behind them, the ever-present grin on his face. Oh really? He teased, tapping Naruto on the head, causing the blonde to yelp in surprise. Sakura, now would be a good time. Naruto yelled as he quickly threw a kunai, the hilt striking the ground. In an instant, he transformed into a wooden clone, the original blending into the background, a clever tactic to distract their sensei. A wood clone? How is that possible? Kakashi thought, momentarily taken aback. Sakura seized the opportunity, sprinting toward the bells hanging from Kakashi's belt. Her heart raced as she reached for the bells, adrenaline coursing through her veins. In a clearing, she halted, panting, to find Naruto and Sasuke beaming at her. She had done it. Good job, Sakura. Sasuke commended, cutting one of the bells in half and handing one piece to Naruto while keeping the other for himself. He proudly presented the whole bell to Sakura. Kakashi mused, smiling genuinely. Nice job, everyone. Not only did Naruto keep me busy and provided a surprise attack, but Sasuke and Sakura executed their roles beautifully. I dare say you've all earned those bells. Congratulations. You pass. Naruto's eyes lit up, excitement bubbling within him. Maybe a team wouldn't be so bad after all. I think you all understand the importance of teamwork now. In the shinobi world, those who disobey the rules are considered trash. But those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. Always remember that. If you work together like you did today, we might form one of the best teams this village has ever seen. Kakashi concluded, his voice filled with pride. Naruto and Sakura's faces glowed with enthusiasm, while Sasuke merely smirked, accepting the praise with a nod. Hey, Naruto. What are those eyes of yours? They look kind of weird, Sakura remarked, pointing at the strange ripple-patterned eyes Naruto possessed. That single tomo is similar to the Sharingan. But I wonder what it is. Sasuke chimed in, his curiosity piqued. With a resigned sigh, Naruto decided it was finally time to share a part of his secret. Yes, like the Sharingan, these are also dojutsu. It's called the Rinnegan, but I need you to keep it quiet, he told Sasuke, who nodded in understanding. Why do you want to keep it a secret, Naruto? Sakura pressed, concern creeping into her voice. I have my reasons. Just trust me on this for now. Don't tell anyone. And everything will be alright, Naruto replied firmly. His teammates exchanged glances, nodding in agreement. What kind of power do those eyes give you? Is that the gravity technique I saw you use? Sasuke inquired, eager to learn more. Yes. And there are other abilities I haven't even discovered yet. Being the last clan member with these eyes means I have no one to teach me. I guess I'll learn as I go, Naruto admitted, a hint of uncertainty in his tone. How did you do the wood clone? Kakashi asked, genuinely intrigued. These eyes grant me control over all 5 basic chakra natures, and I can combine them to create sub-elemental chakra. I even have ice release and storm release, among others. It's really cool, Naruto replied, his enthusiasm contagious. Interesting, Kakashi said, contemplating the implications of Naruto's abilities. This information will need to be reported to the Hokage. Alright, I suppose we should head home. Tomorrow, the team reports for our first mission, he announced, signaling the end of their training session. Alright, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto cheered, practically bouncing with excitement. The team dispersed, Kakashi vanishing into thin air, while the remaining trio made their way back to the village together. Sasuke-kun, do you want to go on a date with me? Sakura asked hesitantly, her cheeks flushed. Sasuke's silence was deafening, prompting Naruto to grin mischievously. Sasuke, why don't you just say yes for once? I mean, what can you lose? I have to get stronger. Naruto, I can't waste my time on dates, Sasuke replied, determination etched across his face. The rejection visibly crushed Sakura's spirit. But Naruto remained upbeat. So you still don't understand what true strength is, do you? Naruto challenged, an amused glint in his eyes. Sasuke raised an eyebrow, intrigued yet slightly annoyed. One of these days, you're going to realize what true strength is. And then you'll be the one stalking Sakura. I guarantee it. Naruto laughed, his teasing voice ringing with a playful tone. "Take that back. I would never stalk anyone. I'm too good for that," Sasuke retorted, gritting his teeth, while Sakura giggled at the banter between the boys. "We'll see about that. I'm heading to Ichiraku's for ramen. Anyone want to join?" Naruto called out, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. A brief silence fell over them as both Sasuke and Sakura exchanged looks, seemingly contemplating. "You eat too much ramen, Naruto," Sakura finally said, shaking her head. "It can't be good for your health." Naruto shrugged nonchalantly. "Who cares? I never get sick." With that, he vanished in a crackle of electricity, leaving his teammates in awe. "Okay. I have to ask him to teach me that," Sasuke exclaimed, sounding slightly exasperated. Sakura nodded in agreement. Her curiosity piqued. She too wanted to learn how to vanish so effortlessly. Yo! Naruto called out cheerfully to the old man Tucci as he suddenly materialized in front of the ramen stand. The sudden appearance startled Tucci, causing him to drop a bowl of ramen, splattering noodles everywhere. "Are you crazy, Naruto? What were you thinking? Do you think this is funny?" the old man exclaimed, his expression a mixture of frustration and amusement as he scolded the blonde, who laughed heartily at the chaos he had caused. "Oh come on, old man. You know I make up for it by ordering so much ramen," Naruto replied, his grin infectious, bringing a smile to Tucci's face. It was true. The kid had an insatiable appetite for the delicious noodles. "So, the usual, Tucci asked, preparing to serve Naruto. "Yep," Naruto replied enthusiastically, settling down on the stool as he waited for what he considered the food sent by Kami itself, ramen. As he gazed around the bustling village, he noticed familiar faces, one of whom was Rock Lee accompanied by his exuberant teacher, Might Guy. Waving them over, Lee approached, eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Naruto-kun, I'm looking forward to sparring with you one of these days. I hope it's as youthful as our previous battles." "Sure. Maybe someday," Naruto replied, the contagious energy of Lee making him smile wider. "Allow me to introduce the other two prodigies of youthfulness, Neji Hyuga and Tenten," Might Guy announced dramatically, striking an exaggerated pose. "Sorry, Guy," Naruto said, a playful smirk on his face. "Did you say something?" This prompted Guy to exclaim, "What?" before bursting into exaggerated tears, a river of emotions flowing from his eyes. "Damn you, Naruto. And your hip attitude. Wait. What are you doing here? Are you going to order the usual again?" Tenten teased, rolling her eyes at Naruto. But her playful grin belied her sarcasm. "Yes. Ramen is life," Naruto declared, emphasizing his undying love for the dish. Neji stood silently beside Tenten, arms crossed, his expression unreadable but observing the banter with quiet amusement. "Hey, Neji, wanna join us?" Naruto suggested enthusiastically. "No thanks. I'll stick to my diet," Neji replied coolly, earning a laugh from Tenten and a playful pout from Naruto. "Your loss. I'll let you know how good it is later," Naruto promised, turning back to face the counter. Tucci served the bowl of steaming ramen, and Naruto dove in, savoring every mouthful. "Delicious," he exclaimed, slurping the noodles with exaggerated delight, drawing amused glances from nearby villagers. As he ate, his mind wandered back to his newfound friends and teammates. No matter the challenges ahead, he felt a warmth blossom in his chest, a sense of belonging he had long sought. "Let's conquer the world together," he whispered between mouthfuls, determination igniting within him, fueled by the taste of ramen and the bonds he cherished. "Shut up," Naruto's voice thundered through the air, a storm of emotion boiling within him. He unleashed a surge of killer intent, ki, that rippled like a shockwave, leaving Neji visibly shaken, his usual composure faltering as his skin turned an ashen shade. "One day, I'm going to get my hands on you, Neji," Naruto seethed, his eyes blazing with fury. "For insulting my parents. I'll beat you to within an inch of your pathetic life. I'll make you wish you'd never crossed me. Wish that someone activated that cursed seal on your head. And then, If your so-called fate allows it, I might just leave you that way." His voice dripped with venom, each word punctuated by a wave of ki that seemed to crush the air around them. Neji's body tensed, almost paralyzed by the overwhelming aura of malice emanating from Naruto. With a dangerous glint in his eyes, Naruto let his demonic chakra seep out, the raw power swirling like a tempest around him. Neji's heart raced as he felt the intensity of Naruto's rage, a feeling that was far from pleasant, one that seemed to wrap around him like a vice. "Naruto, I apologize on behalf of my teammate," Tenten interjected, her voice steady yet filled with concern. As she spoke, the oppressive ki began to recede, allowing Neji to breathe again. He let out a shaky sigh of relief, though his muscles remained coiled in anticipation of Naruto's next move. Naruto's piercing blue eyes locked onto Neji's, the fury still flickering behind them. "I meant every word, Neji. You better not ever run into me again." The finality in his tone sent a chill down Neji's spine. Neji snorted, trying to muster some semblance of bravado. But before he could retort, Guy Sensei and Lee whisked him away, leaving Tenten behind with an apologetic glance. "Goodbye, Naruto," she called out softly, sensing the weight of tension still hanging in the air. Naruto sighed heavily, the remnants of his anger dissipating like smoke. He finished the last of his ramen, but the flavor now felt stale on his tongue. The confrontation with Neji had soured the appetite he'd worked so hard to cultivate. In the Hokage's office, the air was thick with the smell of ink and paper as Kakashi and Sarutobi engaged in serious conversation, far removed from the chaos of the streets outside. "He can make wood clones. Did you know that, Sandaime-sama?" Kakashi asked, leaning back casually in his chair, his tone light yet edged with seriousness. "Yes. Naruto mentioned his ability to combine nature chakra and create sub-elements. It's intriguing, and a bit worrying," Sarutobi replied, his brow furrowed as he sifted through mounds of paperwork. "We need to keep this under wraps for as long as we can. There are those on the council who might see this as a threat, driven by jealousy." "I agree," Kakashi said, his voice dropping slightly. "I was caught off guard when he used that technique during the bell test. It was impressive teamwork. Sakura managed to snag the bells while I was distracted. They've got potential. No doubt about it." "Indeed," Sarutobi mused, a glimmer of hope sparking in his tired eyes. "But let's wait for the other Junin's evaluations before making any decisions. I want to see how the Ino Shika Cho trio and Team 8 fare. They all have the potential to mirror your team's capabilities." Just then, the door swung open, revealing Asuma and Kurenai, hand in hand. Kakashi and Sarutobi raised their eyebrows in unison, surprise flickering across their faces. Kakashi stifled a chuckle while Sarutobi hid his laughter behind a cough. "About time, Asuma," the Hokage quipped, his eyes twinkling with amusement. "So, how did your team do?" "Brilliantly," Asuma replied, a proud grin spreading across his face. They realized the importance of teamwork pretty quickly. "Shikamaru has potential, though he's a bit too lazy for my liking. Choji is fiercely loyal, and Ino can be loud. But when it counts, she steps up. It seems they have it in their genes to be a good team." Sarutobi nodded, turning to Kurenai. "And your team?" "Team 8 passed with flying colors," Kurenai confirmed, her pride evident. "Hinata is a total team player. Kiba might be a bit of a hothead, but he listens to Shino. Shino has shown great leadership potential. Together, they make a solid tracking team, dogs, bugs, and Byakugan." Good. Kakashi has passed his team as well. "It seems like we have our rookie 9 of the year," Sarutobi declared with a satisfied smile. Kurenai looked at Kakashi in shock, while Asuma simply grinned. "The strongest rookie 9 to come out of Konoha in quite some time, Hokage-sama," Asuma chimed in, and Sarutobi nodded, a sense of pride swelling in his chest. "All right, then. Let's introduce them to the joys of D-ranks tomorrow, shall we?" Sarutobi suggested, and the room filled with anticipation. The Junin exchanged knowing looks, eager to witness their genin's reactions to the mundane tasks that awaited them. "Okay. That's it. I'm fed up with that damn cat," Naruto exclaimed, his frustration bubbling over. If I have to catch that thing one more time, I swear I'll finish it off and spray its brains all over the wall. I'll feed it to the Inuzuka dogs if I have to. He crossed his arms, sitting down cross-legged, his mood darkening. Naruto. Iruka's voice cut through the air, sharp and disapproving. Show some respect for the Hokage. You're a genin, and your job is to start with low-ranking missions. His tone was firm, but concern laced his words. You're not ready for anything serious yet. Come on. Iruka-sensei. You don't really believe that, do you? Naruto pouted, his spirit unyielding. I'm sick of these stupid D ranks. Why should I have to clean a fence? Let the villagers do it themselves. Sasuke nodded in agreement. But Sakura remained quiet, her eyes cast downward, fearing the repercussions of their words. Sarutobi, however, smiled softly, taking in the passionate outburst. I understand, Iruka, Sarutobi said, his voice calming. Naruto wants to prove himself. He's eager to dive into real missions. It had been 2 weeks since they had formed their team, and the monotony of menial tasks was wearing on Naruto's patience. Kakashi, what do you think? Are they ready for a C-rank mission? Sarutobi asked, his eyes shifting to the silver-haired Junin. Yes. I think they can handle it. Kakashi replied with a nod. Then let's find them a C-rank mission. Iruka, Sarutobi commanded, a hint of excitement in his voice. Iruka hesitated, disbelief flashing in his eyes. Hokage-sama, you can't possibly trust Naruto. Iruka, Sarutobi interrupted, his tone leaving no room for argument. He's strong, and he needs to start sometime. Yeah. Don't worry about me. Iruka-sensei. I'm awesome. I'll handle it. Naruto declared, a fierce determination igniting within him. All right. Iruka relented, rifling through the mission files spread across the table. There's an escort mission to Wave. It should be a good starting point for you all. Tazuna-san. Sarutobi mused. Send him in. The door creaked open, revealing an old man who stumbled slightly, clearly intoxicated. Naruto's eyes narrowed as recognition dawned upon him. I know this guy. Memories flooded back to his previous mission in Wave. The drunken bridge builder who had relied on them for protection. Tazuna squinted at the young shinobi before slurring. So you're the brats assigned to protect me? How shameful. Sasuke and Sakura shot him glares, while Naruto merely stared, irritation bubbling beneath the surface. You're too drunk. The only person we might need to save you from is yourself. Naruto retorted, crossing his arms defiantly. I'm Tazuna, a master bridge builder. I'm too good for you all. The old man boasted, taking another swig from his flask. Naruto clenched his fists, ready to unleash a retort when Sasuke stepped in. How long until we reach Wave? We're not here for a party. Tazuna smirked, suddenly serious. 2 days if we go through the woods. And I expect you to protect me the entire way. Let's go. I'm ready. Naruto exclaimed, determination surging through him as he led the way, leaving the remnants of his frustration behind. The office of Gato was a veritable den of vice. The kind of place that thrummed with an undercurrent of danger and desire. The dimly lit room was filled with the murmur of drunken laughter and the clinking of glasses. A motley crew of disheveled patrons and strikingly beautiful women lingering in various states of undress. Currently, Gato found himself flanked by 2 of these women. Their attire minimal, their laughter a seductive undertone to the tension in the room. Across from him sat a man whose imposing presence made Gato feel small, a towering figure with a mask that concealed his features and a pair of piercing eyes that seemed to cut through the haze of smoke. His most distinguishing feature was the enormous sword resting against his shoulder, a massive cleaver-like weapon that radiated a sense of lethal intent. You know Tazuna, your job is to kill him, Gato said, his tone nonchalant, though the words hung heavily in the air. A bridge builder? What's so problematic that you need a shinobi to kill him? The masked man, Zabuza, replied, amusement lacing his voice, yet a hint of skepticism shimmered beneath it. Just make sure that you and your companion deal with him. Zabuza. I don't pay you to ask questions. Gato retorted, an unnatural bravado filling him. For a fleeting moment, he felt emboldened by his status. Unaware of the storm brewing in front of him, Zabuza's mouth twitched, a grim smile dancing on his lips. I haven't accepted the mission yet, Gato. And believe me when I say I could end you where you stand without a second thought. He gestured towards the two women, their laughter dying in an instant. And those two? They would be nothing more than collateral damage. With that, he unsheathed his sword, the blade gleaming ominously as he pointed it threateningly close to Gato's throat. Never, ever insult Haku again. You understand? The words were a low growl, and Gato's confidence crumbled under the weight of Zabuza's threat. Gato nodded quickly, his composure slipping. Do you accept? He stammered, his bravado replaced with fear. Yes, Zabuza replied, his tone cold and calculating. But I want advance payment for this. Gato. This Tazuna gives off a strange vibe. I have a feeling I'll have some trouble dealing with him. Konohagakure. Outskirts. The sun cast a warm glow over the outskirts of Konohagakure as Naruto bounced on his toes, brimming with excitement. Hey! Kakashi Sensei. I can't believe you actually made it on time this time, he exclaimed, a wide grin spreading across his face. Today was the day they would embark on their first ever C-rank mission, escorting an alcoholic bridge builder to the land of waves. Well, Naruto, this is a mission. How could I possibly be late? Kakashi replied, an amused glint in his eye as he adjusted his headband. Anyway, now that we're here, let's go. Sasuke interjected, cutting to the chase, his expression serious. All right, I'll be at the back. Naruto, you can take point. Don't worry, Kakashi instructed, watching as Naruto scoffed and strode forward, full of energy. Sakura and Sasuke, stay alert and keep your eyes and ears open, he added, motioning for them to take their positions. With a nod, Sakura and Sasuke moved into formation. But as they set off, Naruto couldn't shake the feeling that their progress was painfully slow. The presence of Tazuna, their assigned bridge builder, felt like a weight dragging them down. Kakashi, on the other hand, felt boredom creeping in as he contemplated whether to pull out one of his books. Suddenly, Naruto's keen senses caught sight of something unusual. A puddle of water, glistening under the sunlight. It was a curious sight, especially since it hadn't rained in weeks. What the hell? There's a ninja hiding. It's an ambush. But who are they after? Kakashi's mind raced with similar thoughts. Should I attack? Or should I wait for them to reveal themselves? Choosing silence, Naruto pressed on, hoping to discern the nature of the impending ambush. But before long, two ninjas erupted from the watery depths, launching their assault from behind. In the blink of an eye, Kakashi was caught off guard, slashed in half by the sudden attack. Sakura screamed, her voice filled with panic as Sasuke quickly sprang into action, throwing shuriken with precision to pin down the attacker's chains. Naruto's heart raced, but he knew Kakashi was still alive. The Junin had been training them to expect the unexpected. Meanwhile, one of the ninjas charged towards Tazuna, and a realization dawned upon Naruto. I knew this bastard was lying. In a flash, Naruto leapt forward, chakra swirling in his palm as he formed a blue ball. Rinnegan, he shouted, smashing the technique into the face of one ninja, obliterating him instantly. The sheer force of the attack left the second ninja disoriented, allowing Sasuke to land a decisive kick to his head, knocking him out cold. Wait. Nice job, Sasuke. Naruto called, offering a grin. Sasuke nodded, the flicker of camaraderie lighting up his expression. You didn't do too bad yourself, Naruto, Sasuke replied, and Naruto felt a surge of pride as he formed hand seals. Summoning technique. King of Hell, he declared, summoning a strange, tentacle-like creature that began to wrap around the demonic statue. Sasuke and Sakura exchanged confused glances, their eyes wide with disbelief. Tell me who you are and who you work for, Naruto demanded of the remaining ninja, his tone fierce. You killed my brother. Why should I tell you? The man spat defiantly, but the tentacles tightened around him, eliciting a gasp of pain. This can go on forever. You know, Naruto said, his voice steady. Tell me who hired you. And save yourself. Never. The ninja shouted, his resistance unwavering. Sighing, Naruto steeled himself. Fine. I'll pass judgment then. The tentacles withdrew, leaving the man to scream in agony as he succumbed to his wounds. I didn't want to do that, Naruto thought, feeling a twinge of regret as he witnessed the brutal end. But the mission came first. What's up? Kakashi's voice broke the tension, startling Sasuke and Sakura. Relief washed over their faces, while Naruto remained indifferent. I knew you were alive. Can you get a read on their moves? I'm sure they were after Tazuna. But I need confirmation, Naruto said, directing his gaze toward Kakashi. Let's hear it. Tazuna-san, Kakashi urged, turning his attention to the bridge builder, who looked more frail than before. Okay. I live in the land of waves and am building a bridge that will connect to the mainland. I'm worried that this bridge, which is vital for boosting trade and reducing prices in waves, will be targeted by Gato, the shipping magnate. I knew he'd send ninjas after me. But please believe me, I put all my savings into this mission. All I could afford was a C rank. Please. Help me. Tazuna pleaded, his voice cracking with emotion. Naruto felt the weight of despair settle in his chest. He had witnessed the poverty in the land of waves before and wanted to make a difference. If ending Gato's influence could help, he felt compelled to act. He turned to Kakashi, determination radiating from him. We can do this. Sensei. Come on. Naruto urged, his excitement palpable. Sasuke and Sakura, too, nodded in agreement, pushing Kakashi to continue with the mission. Fine. Kakashi sighed. Resigned. I'll send these bodies back to Konoha for the bounty. Naruto. You can claim it. It'll help with your financial situation. Naruto nodded eagerly, feeling a mix of excitement and responsibility. All right, team. We're going on with this mission. However, a gnawing feeling of unease settled in the back of his mind. Something isn't right. Sing a song, rower. Come on. Tazuna called out cheerfully to the man rowing the boat. Team 7, along with their client, was on their way to the land of waves. It had been 3 long hours since they had repelled an attack from the notorious demon brothers of the mist. And now they were steadily making their way toward Tazuna's home. The plan was straightforward. Spend the night at Tazuna's house and strategize their next steps. However, Kakashi was acutely aware that Gato might have more hired assassins lurking in the shadows, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Tazuna, the rower replied, his voice laced with irritation. You're drunk again. Please be quiet. The team nodded in agreement, their patience wearing thin. Tazuna had brought along a bottle of sake, and after the encounter with the demon brothers, he had taken to drinking heavily. His behavior was starting to grate on everyone's nerves, especially Naruto, who was ready to lash out. Sakura and Sasuke, the less confrontational, shared his frustration. I need all of you to keep it down, the rower insisted. Gato could have eyes and ears everywhere. We can't afford to be careless. Everyone, including Tazuna, complied. They traveled in silence for about 5 minutes before finally reaching the shore. There you go, the rower said as they disembarked. Kakashi expressed his gratitude, to which the rower responded dismissively. Just doing the nation a favor by getting that damn bridge built, he muttered, as Kakashi assured him that they would see it through. As they started toward Tazuna's house, the oppressive mist that had initially engulfed them had begun to lift, revealing more of the surroundings and easing the tension among Team 7. However, Naruto's curiosity got the better of him. Wait! He suddenly shouted, halting the group. They had been following Tazuna's directions for quite some time when Naruto abruptly drew a kunai and hurled it into the bushes. A frightened squeak rang out, and to everyone's surprise, a rabbit stumbled forward. The kunai lodged in its throat. Oh! Naruto! Sakura exclaimed, her voice tinged with disappointment and annoyance. Over the last few days, she had begun to warm up to him, partly due to their shared connections. But this latest display of insensitivity tested her newfound friendship. You killed that cute little bunny. She pouted, her eyes widening as she looked at the lifeless creature. Naruto remained stoic, his expression a mask of seriousness that contrasted sharply with his usual carefree demeanor. Team 7 was adjusting to this more mature side of Naruto. A stark departure from the clumsy antics of the academy. "The rabbit," Naruto said, pointing at its white fur. "Why does it have a white coat this season?" He pondered aloud, eliciting puzzled looks from the rest of the group. Kakashi, however, seemed to understand the implications. "Right. Not in this season. That means this rabbit is domestic," he explained, and Tazuna nodded in agreement. His house was still a distance away, which means, Naruto began to deduce. But before he could finish, both he and Kakashi shouted, "Everybody down now!" Team 7 instinctively ducked, with Sakura pulling a bewildered Tazuna down with her. Tazuna stumbled and ended up sprawled comically on the ground as a kunai whizzed overhead, narrowly missing them. "Trouble. Again," Naruto whispered as he swiftly formed a shadow clone. Sasuke and Sakura stared in awe. Very few people could execute jutsu silently. The clone, mirroring Naruto's posture, crouched low, poised to spring into action. At that moment, Sakura couldn't help but admit that Naruto looked surprisingly cool. Suddenly, the mist that had receded earlier surged back, denser than before. Naruto stretched out his hand but could barely see it in front of him. He recognized this as a technique. And not just any technique. This was something far more sinister. He recalled reading about this type of assassination method in one of his clan's books, using mist to obscure movements and sounds. The legendary 7 swordsmen were known for mastering it. It was called the silent killing technique. He could sense a heavy, oppressive air around them, as if a murderous intent had settled upon the group. Naruto noticed Sasuke and Sakura tense up while Tazuna appeared ready to faint. Despite being a mere builder, Tazuna had undoubtedly seen his fair share of danger throughout his life, which impressed Naruto. A team of brats and a famous ninja. The copycat Kakashi of the Sharingan. A chilling voice called out from the mist. Sasuke and Sakura flinched. The tone of the voice reminded Naruto of Kurama or even his own sword. As the mist began to dissipate, a figure emerged. A man whose face was largely bandaged, a massive cleaver strapped to his back. Naruto recognized him instantly. "Zabuza Momochi," Kakashi stated flatly, his voice low. "Demon of the hidden mist." The air grew tense, the silence so thick that one could hear a pin drop. The only sound breaking this stillness was the wheezy, alcohol-laden breaths of Tazuna as he fought to regain his composure. Team 7 stood frozen, caught in a collective breath, waiting for the inevitable confrontation. "Ah, Kakashi Hitaki recognizes me," Zabuza said, a twisted smile creeping onto his face. "I'm delighted to see you. I thought those eyes of yours would have made you arrogant, much like the other Uchiha," he mocked. Kakashi merely shook his head. "I'm afraid I'm nothing like the Uchiha. I'm a different kind of person. You know. Perhaps you shouldn't underestimate me," he replied coolly. Even through the mist, Zabuza's sinister grin was palpable. 8 points. Zabuza intoned ominously. Larynx, spine, lungs, liver, jugular, subclavian artery, kidneys, heart. Sasuke and Sakura stiffened, fear evident on their faces. "But there is so little time," Zabuza continued, almost pleadingly. "Kakashi, don't waste what little I have left. Hand over the bridge builder." He began forming hand seals. "Water clone jutsu," he proclaimed, and suddenly, 9 identical Zabuza clones emerged from the ground, surrounding them. While Naruto seemed unfazed, the rest of Team 7 was now visibly alarmed. Kakashi sighed, realizing he had no choice but to reveal his trump card. He pulled down his mask, revealing his Sharingan, 3 tomos swirling ominously within his red eye. Sasuke gasped in surprise while Naruto looked on, astonished. Sakura, however, remained in the dark, unaware of the significance. In that moment, time appeared to freeze within the mist. Sasuke and Sakura felt paralyzed, but the sound of Kakashi's calm voice broke the tension. "Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, don't panic. We are comrades. I won't abandon you. I will protect you." This reassurance resonated deeply within them. Kakashi knew well the pain of losing teammates. He had witnessed it firsthand. The memories of his own sensei sacrificing everything and the tragic fate of his other teammate weighed heavily on him. He understood the gravity of their situation. Such drivel, Zabuza retorted. And in an instant, he vanished, striking at Kakashi with deadly precision. But to Zabuza's shock, Kakashi dissipated into thin air. A mere clone. Ah. Already used the Sharingan to copy my clones. Huh? Zabuza sneered, disdain evident in his voice. God. I hate that. Don't you realize that nothing ever beats the original? But if one were to peer through the mist, they would see Kakashi poised behind Zabuza, kunai at the ready, prepared to strike. It's over, Kakashi said with grim determination. But Zabuza merely laughed, a maniacal sound echoing in the mist. No, it isn't, he replied, dissolving into another clone. Yet another Zabuza emerged from the water, eyes glinting with malicious intent. Pathetic, he taunted, directing his gaze at Team 7. Are these the brats you vowed to protect? Kakashi? These wannabe ninjas? Kakashi glared at him, unwilling to show any sign of weakness. What do these kids even know? Zabuza continued mockingly. Being a shinobi means being nothing more than a tool. One with only one goal. To kill whoever the client orders. In my opinion, none of you puny brats are ninjas until you make it into my bingo book. His laughter was chilling, causing shivers to run down their spines. Enough of this, Kakashi shouted, charging at Zabuza and engaging him in taijutsu. Naruto watched, newfound respect blossoming for his teacher. Kakashi fought valiantly, skillfully maneuvering through the thick mist while using his kunai to deflect Zabuza's massive cleaver. The duel raged on for another minute, but Kakashi struggled to gain the upper hand against Zabuza's overwhelming strength. Realizing he needed a change of strategy, Kakashi leapt into the nearby water, unaware of the wicked grin forming on Zabuza's face. Naruto sensed it. An instinctual understanding that Zabuza was preparing something sinister. Zabuza lunged forward, aiming his cleaver at Kakashi, who deftly sidestepped. He landed on the shore, breathing heavily but remaining steadfast. But Zabuza was relentless. In a moment of pure instinct, Naruto summoned his shadow clones again, shouting, Rinnegan. A flurry of clones appeared, charging at Zabuza. This time, their movements were synchronized, and with the surprise of numbers, they caught Zabuza off guard, forcing him back momentarily. Impressive, Zabuza admitted grudgingly, narrowing his eyes at Naruto. But let's see if you can handle this. He conjured a jutsu of his own, and the mist thickened around them once again, obscuring their vision. Sasuke and Sakura exchanged determined glances, ready to back up Naruto. No one's dying here, Sasuke declared, adrenaline coursing through him. As the battle intensified, they quickly understood the stakes had escalated. If they were to defeat Zabuza and survive, they needed to work together and harness their strengths as a team. It was a trial by fire, and each moment would define not only their fates but also the path of their journey ahead. All right, Zabuza, Naruto said, his voice steady yet resolute. Enough. I'm growing weary of this. It's time to end it. With a determined glare, he drew back his sword, channeling chakra through it. A vibrant green energy flickered around the blade, casting an ethereal glow. Butterfly shockwave, he shouted, unleashing a massive, slashing green bolt from the sword. The projectile sliced through the air, a gleaming arc of chakra aimed directly at Zabuza. Zabuza, quick on his feet, dodged to the side, but not before a second, shadowy replica of him, one that had momentarily stood still, was caught in the attack. The slasher struck with a force that sent the clone tumbling backward, dispelling just before it could reach the original Zabuza. The energy from the wave knocked Zabuza off his feet, his hand slipping free from Kakashi's hold. Kakashi breathed a sigh of relief, stepping back from the fray, looking slightly frazzled but otherwise unharmed. His training had equipped him to hold his breath longer than most, so the earlier attack hadn't fazed him as much as it might have for others. Thanks, Naruto. But maybe next time, you could listen to what I say and actually do that, Kakashi remarked, shooting a glance at Naruto. Naruto grinned, a hint of mischief dancing in his eyes. I don't abandon teammates. Kakashi-sensei. In that moment, Kakashi saw a flicker of his best friend Obito in Naruto, and a smile crept onto his face. Okay then, Kakashi replied, shaking off the nostalgia. Zabuza, I slipped up once. I needed that. Now you'll see what it's like when I go at full pace. Naruto, take a step back. Naruto groaned, resisting the urge to protest. But, now. Kakashi's tone was sharp, brokering no argument. Taken aback, Naruto complied, stepping aside, still shocked by the forcefulness in Kakashi's voice. All right, Sensei, I leave him to you, Naruto said, disappointment coloring his tone. Although I would have loved to have fought this guy. He sealed his sword away, casting a glance at Kakashi and Zabuza, who regarded him with a mix of surprise and irritation. That kid made it look way too easy, Zabuza thought, his mind racing. And he sensed that I'm not alone. I wonder what else this brat will show. Naruto exuded an aura of calm indifference, unfazed by the shocked expressions of Sakura and Sasuke. It was as if he were in his own world, focused solely on the battle before him, his desire to face Zabuza palpable. This is such a drag, Naruto declared, attempting his best Shikamaru impression. But Zabuza, the right thing to do here would be to walk away. You have no idea what I can do. Yes, there is more, he added, watching as Zabuza's eyes widened in intrigue. To run away would be extremely disgraceful for someone like me. Naruto. Was it? Tell me. Do you belong to any clan? And how do you even wield that sword? There's no way you should be able to hold it unless you're related to Takeshi. And he bequeathed it to you, Zabuza stated, his voice low and calculating. Naruto couldn't help but laugh. Nice going there. Genius. You figured it out. He smirked, relishing the recognition of his heritage, even from someone as formidable as Zabuza. Now I'll tell you my name, only once. I want you to remember it because I have a feeling I'm going into your bingo book. Zabuza's face twisted in annoyance, the kid's smartass attitude grating on his nerves. My name, Naruto said, forming two hand seals, is. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. Dark storm clouds gathering ominously above. Kakashi's eyes widened in disbelief at Naruto's audacity. To perform a jutsu with just two hand seals was nearly unheard of. A skill only seen in the likes of the Naidame. Wind release. Tornado of Doom. Naruto called out, the command echoing like thunder. A fierce tornado spiraled down from the darkened sky, descending upon Zabuza, its winds slicing through the air with razor-like precision. Zabuza's eyes widened in shock as he narrowly escaped, substituting himself just in time to evade the onslaught. But Naruto wasn't finished yet. Oh, not so fast, he shouted, determination fueling his next move. Zabuza responded swiftly, hand seals forming rapidly. Water style. Water dragon jutsu. He shouted, unleashing a massive dragon made of water and chakra, hurtling toward Naruto. Panic surged through Naruto. What the hell? I can't move, he thought helplessly, feeling as if he were rooted to the spot. The dragon charged, an unstoppable force aimed directly at him. Kakashi's voice reached him dimly, urging him to escape, but he felt frozen, incapable of action. Then, purely on instinct, Naruto formed a hand seal. The effect was instantaneous. A shimmering sphere of energy enveloped him, absorbing the water dragon completely. He stared in disbelief, realizing he had inadvertently tapped into another technique, one that allowed him to absorb ninjutsu. What the hell? Zabuza exclaimed, his shock palpable. He couldn't fathom how the brat had remained unscathed. Enough. Kakashi snapped, finally regaining his composure. Taking advantage of Zabuza's surprise, he formed a massive water dragon of his own, sending it hurtling back at Zabuza with fierce intent. The last thing Zabuza remembered was crashing into a tree, unconscious. Kakashi prepared to follow up with an attack, his hand crackling with electricity. But before he could execute his move, a senbon struck Zabuza, who lay lifeless against the tree. A figure in a hunter nin mask appeared, swiftly moving through the trees, retrieving Zabuza's body. Recognition flickered across Naruto's face. He had seen that figure before. "Stop!" he yelled, rushing toward the ninja. But the masked figure vanished into the shadows, taking Zabuza with him. Naruto turned back to find Kakashi glaring at him, a storm of emotions in his eyes. "We need to talk," Kakashi said, his voice low and serious. "Later, at Tazuna's house." "What the hell were you thinking?" Kakashi asked, frustration bubbling to the surface. "Not only did you disobey me when I told you to run, but you also jumped into a battle I explicitly told you to avoid. I thought you were smarter than that, Naruto. What is wrong with you?" They were greeted by Tazuna's attractive daughter, Tsunami, and her moody grandson, Inari, who seemed to be trapped in a cycle of grief since the loss of his father. Tazuna shared Kaisa's story. The man who had once stood against Gato and paid the price. Inari had been fragile ever since, and navigating his emotions felt like walking on eggshells for everyone in the household. Kakashi put off discussing Naruto's reckless actions for later, opting instead to wait until the evening, when Sakura was in the other room and Sasuke pretended to be asleep. "Wake up, Sasuke," Kakashi said, irritation creeping into his voice. "Don't insult me by pretending to be asleep. You need to hear this because I doubt Sakura would make such a reckless choice. You, on the other hand, I don't trust." Sasuke gulped, his cover blown. "Power is supposed to be used responsibly. What were you thinking? Why didn't you try to dodge that water dragon? Do you even understand the consequences?" Kakashi pressed, concern lacing his words. Naruto nodded slowly. "I was stuck, Sensei. These eyes, they react when I discover something new. And did you really expect us to abandon you?" Kakashi softened at that, the sternness in his gaze wavering. He reminded them both that they needed to be stronger, especially since Zabuza would likely return with his accomplice. After Kakashi left, Sasuke turned to Naruto, his gaze unwavering. "You're acting weird, Naruto. Are you in love with me or something? Quit staring at me like that," he grumbled. Naruto laughed, a mix of confusion and amusement on his face. "I thought you were gonna ask for my sword, or demand it," he retorted. Sasuke looked puzzled. "You know, I'm proud to be an Uchiha. But I also don't think I should just take whatever I want." Naruto smiled, admiring Sasuke's integrity. "Well, this sword was my grandfather's. I can't tell you where I got it since I don't know. But if you deserve a sword like that, you will get one." Sasuke raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Look, I know you want to kill your brother," Naruto said, his tone shifting to one of sincerity. "But you need to consider the cycle of revenge. It won't bring you satisfaction. And trust me, I know you will find him. If we stay a team." Tobi stood atop the tallest building in Amikagore, watching as the moon began to rise, casting a silvery light over the village. Shadows stretched and danced across the rooftops, and the cool night air held a sense of anticipation. He knew that the pieces were slowly moving into place. With Zetsu gone, Tobi took a moment to reflect. His plan was intricate, woven with threads of manipulation and foresight. The more he thought about the future, the more confident he became. The Akatsuki would rise once again. But this time, he would ensure that nothing stood in their way. As he descended from the rooftop, Tobi's mind wandered to the prospects of the upcoming battles. The hidden leaf was in disarray, and the presence of strong shinobi like Naruto and Sasuke would only complicate things. Yet, he couldn't deny the thrill that coursed through him at the thought of facing them. Each confrontation would draw them deeper into the web he was spinning. Back in Tazuna's house meanwhile, inside Tazuna's humble abode, the atmosphere was heavy with tension. The team had gathered in the living room, and Kakashi had taken the opportunity to lay out a plan. "Tomorrow, we'll begin training seriously. Zabuza's no ordinary foe, and we must be prepared for his return," Kakashi said, looking pointedly at Naruto and Sasuke. "That means understanding your strengths and weaknesses, and working together as a team." Sakura glanced between her teammates, her anxiety evident. "But what if he comes back with that accomplice of his? We need a solid strategy." Naruto, still pumped from the earlier confrontation, slammed his fist into his palm. "I won't back down. I'm stronger now. And I won't let him get the jump on us again." Sasuke's expression remained stoic, but the fire in his eyes spoke volumes. We need to train hard. If I'm going to face my brother, I can't let Zabuza be a distraction. Kakashi nodded, satisfied with their resolve. Good. We'll train until dusk. Then we'll rest. Zabuza won't wait for us to be ready. And we can't afford to lose anyone else. Outside in the clearing later that evening, as the sun set, Naruto found himself alone in a clearing near the house. Lost in thought. The adrenaline from the fight still surged through him, and he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more he needed to discover about his abilities. Sitting cross-legged, he closed his eyes and focused on the strange powers his eyes granted him. Kurama. What else can I do? I feel like there's something just beyond my reach. Keep pushing your limits, kid. You've only scratched the surface of your potential. Train with your emotions, and you'll uncover more. Kurama's voice rumbled within him, a mix of wisdom and impatience. Suddenly, a rustling sound disrupted his thoughts. Naruto opened his eyes to see a figure stepping into the clearing, a girl with dark hair and a striking presence. Recognition dawned as he recalled their previous encounter. Back for more, are you? Naruto said, a teasing grin forming on his lips. I hope you didn't bring an army this time. The girl crossed her arms, a playful smirk on her face. I'm not here for a fight, Naruto. I have a proposal. What kind of proposal? Naruto asked, curiosity piqued. Let's cut a deal, she said, stepping closer. You want to get stronger, and I can help you, but I need something in return. Naruto raised an eyebrow, intrigued but cautious. What do you want? Her eyes glinted with mischief. Information. I know you have access to some pretty interesting skills. Help me learn about your powers, and I'll train you in ways you haven't even considered. Naruto considered her offer. Training with someone knowledgeable could help him grow, but trusting her could be a risk. What's your name? He asked, needing more to gauge her intentions. Yuki, she replied, extending her hand. Let's make this interesting. Naruto hesitated but then shook her hand, sealing the unorthodox partnership. All right, Yuki. Let's see what you've got. Meanwhile, back at Tezuna's house as the night deepened, Kakashi leaned against the wall outside Tezuna's house, his mind racing with thoughts of their next encounter with Zabuza. He could sense the tension in the air, in anticipation of impending conflict. Sasuke stepped out, breaking Kakashi's train of thought. Sensei, can I ask you something? Of course, Kakashi replied, turning his attention to the young Uchiha. Do you think Naruto is ready for this? Sasuke asked, his brow furrowed with concern. He acts like he knows what he's doing, but I can't shake the feeling that he's in over his head. Kakashi smiled softly. Naruto has a strength that goes beyond mere combat skills. He has a way of bringing people together, and that's something we need. As long as he continues to grow, he'll find his way. Sasuke nodded, though he still seemed unconvinced. I just don't want him to get hurt. We can't afford any mistakes. Kakashi placed a hand on Sasuke's shoulder. Trust in your teammates, Sasuke. We all have our roles to play, and together, we're stronger. That's what makes us a team. Back to Naruto and Yuki in the clearing. Naruto felt the air shift as Yuki began to demonstrate her unique techniques. A flurry of ice shards erupted from her fingertips, swirling around them like a protective barrier. Impressive, Naruto said, his excitement growing. But can you do this? He activated his eyes, and the gravitational pull around them intensified, pulling the shards towards him, absorbing their energy. Yuki's expression shifted from amusement to shock. What are you doing? Learning, he replied, grinning. Let's see how we can work together. As the moon rose higher in the night sky, the stage was set for the challenges to come. Each character was on a path of growth, facing their fears, and confronting the truths that would shape their destinies. The clash of their powers was inevitable, but the bonds formed in battle would prove to be just as significant as the battles themselves. You want to cut a deal? Haku asked, her brow furrowing in disbelief. The very idea of negotiating with Naruto felt absurd. She and her master, Zabuza, had no reason to entertain the blonde ninja's offer. Yet, as she studied him, Naruto merely nodded, determination etched on his face. It was clear he was desperate for an alliance. I know about your defection, he continued, his voice steady. I know about the bloodline purges happening in Kiri. I know about the Yuki clan, renowned for their ice release techniques. With a sense of urgency, he leaned closer. We can help each other. And I'm aware of people like Gato, waiting to betray you at your most vulnerable. So how about it? Will you shake my hand? He extended his right hand toward Haku, who regarded it with a mix of skepticism and caution, as if it were a dangerous animal in a cage. No, I cannot trust you, she replied bluntly, her resolve firm. Naruto smiled, shaking his head slightly. I knew it wouldn't be so easy, but I can be very persuasive, he said, the confidence in his voice a stark contrast to the unease creeping into Haku's demeanor. As he spoke, he noticed a faint blush creeping onto her cheeks, leaving him momentarily puzzled. What the hell? Why is she blushing? He wondered. Haku quickly regained her composure and narrowed her eyes at him. What do you mean by that? Maybe I should tell you what I can do, he replied, smirking, though he felt slightly overconfident. You already saw how I handled your master, Zabuza. I thrashed him like he was a nobody. The smugness in his voice was apparent, but it was a gamble he was willing to take. Plus, you know I could finish you off right now. And then who would go wake up Master Zabuza? Gato certainly wouldn't care before he finishes the job himself. Haku's eyes widened slightly as realization struck her. She understood that Naruto was right. She was unarmed and vulnerable. She hesitated, her mind racing. I don't want to reveal my bloodline, she thought, weighing her options. Now, Konoha is the place both of you want to go, Naruto continued, sensing her wavering resolve. They respect bloodlines, unlike your Mizukage, and you'll be welcomed with open arms. Zabuza can finally have a place to call home, and you can be with him. Can you prove that Gato will turn on us? Haku pressed, skepticism still evident in her voice. I mean, you could be lying, and I don't want to lead my master to his death because of your treachery. Naruto's laughter broke the tense atmosphere, wild and unrestrained. Haku stared at him, momentarily unnerved by his exuberance. Fine, he said, his laughter subsiding. Follow me. Gato isn't too far away. And maybe, just maybe, he's scheming against you. I know where he is right now. His nonchalance intrigued her, and she felt a flicker of curiosity. How do you know where he is? Haku inquired, suspicion coloring her tone. Naruto shrugged, the casualness of his response both infuriating and intriguing. Haku weighed her options. Perhaps following him would be worth the risk. Flashback. 3 hours earlier Kakashi and Naruto had been discussing Haku, unaware of her identity until that moment. I have my shadow clones. You know. They're scouring the area, looking for the accomplice. I'll try talking to him, Naruto stated confidently. I know Gato is going to double-cross them. I'll prove it. And we can avoid any fighting. Kakashi raised an eyebrow. Doubtful. Do you really think Zabuza and his apprentice would switch allegiances without a fight? Establishing a friendship is the way to go, Naruto asserted, his eyes shining with determination. Peace is all that matters. I need friends if I want to achieve that someday. Reluctantly, Kakashi agreed, though his concerns lingered. Meanwhile, one of Naruto's clones had spotted Gato at a local gambling den. The clone dispelled, alerting Naruto to the magnate's whereabouts. They hadn't found Haku yet, she was well hidden, and it was mere luck that led Naruto to her. End flashback. The air in the murky bar was thick with the stench of alcohol, causing Haku to wrinkle her nose in disgust. In stark contrast, Naruto found the scent of sake oddly appealing, but he pushed aside that thought. There was no time for distractions. Disguised as two of the bandits, who Naruto had incapacitated and hidden, they crept through the shadows. Their plan was simple. Naruto would approach the thugs as a ninja seeking Zabuza, while Haku remained hidden, listening for crucial information. Yet, just as luck would have it, they learned Gato had just left. Frustrated, Naruto groaned, anger simmering beneath his skin. But fate intervened again. They discovered Gato and his men not far off, gathered in a clearing. As they approached, a horrifying scene unfolded before their eyes. A woman, half naked and clearly distressed, was surrounded by Gato's men. Naruto's heart raced with indignation. There was no way he could stand by while this was happening. "Stay quiet," he instructed Haku, sensing her horror at the scene. He transformed into a nondescript figure with black hair, exuding an intimidating presence. Haku watched, awed by the subtle shift in his aura, realizing it was one of his unique abilities. With a decisive nod, Naruto vanished. A blur of motion. He reappeared behind the man about to violate the woman, slashing his throat in a swift, lethal motion. The scene froze, shock rippling through the remaining thugs as Naruto's knife found its place at Gato's throat. Who are you?" Gato stammered, fear evident in his trembling voice. Naruto smirked, the predator's intent saturating the air. "Does it matter?" he whispered, narrowing his eyes at the woman, who was now sobbing silently. "Go," he commanded, watching as she fled the scene. Turning back to Gato, who paled at the sight of his fallen henchman, Naruto leaned closer. "I heard you employed Zabuza Momochi. I don't like him, or the people who hire him. So tell me, why shouldn't I finish you and your pathetic cronies where you stand?" Gato's confidence crumbled, panic flooding his features. "I was going to dispose of him once my job is done. I can tell you where he is." "Fine," Naruto said, his voice dangerously calm. "You better be telling the truth, or your life is forfeit." With a flash, he vanished, reappearing behind another henchman, who fell dead before he even realized what was happening. "Now get lost," he commanded Gato, who scampered away with his remaining henchmen, relief etched across his face. Once they were out of sight, Haku descended from her hiding place, her expression a mixture of shock and horror. "Did they really have to die? Did you have to finish them?" she asked, eyes wide with disbelief. "Do you think they didn't deserve it?" Naruto shot back, his expression steely. "These scumbags will always disrupt peace. That woman was precious to someone. I couldn't let her be harmed like that." He spat on one of the fallen bodies, his anger still simmering beneath the surface. "Now listen, Haku," he continued, his tone softening slightly. "I'm strong, you saw that. I could end you effortlessly. But if you convince your master to join us in Konoha, he'll finally be safe. You'll both be free from the hunting." He searched her gaze, hoping she understood the gravity of what he was asking. "I'll do it," Haku agreed, her voice steady. "Good," Naruto replied, a hint of a smile forming on his lips. "Now, go heal Zabuza, and meet me back here tomorrow. All right? Why help us?" Haku asked, genuine curiosity flickering in her eyes. Naruto paused, considering his words carefully. "I sensed goodness in you. I knew you weren't like the others. Zabuza was only on a job, and I knew he would be double-crossed. No wonder I had my clones track you down," he said, recalling the twists of fate that had led him to her. Haku's eyes widened in surprise, realizing how close their paths had crossed. "Besides," he added, a glimmer of mischief in his voice, "I have my reasons." Bringing his hands together, he focused his chakra, and Haku gasped as a block of ice formed before her. She stumbled back, eyes wide, unsure whether to be awed or terrified. "Could he be related to me?" "Bye," Naruto said, the air shimmering as he vanished in a flash. Inari glared back at Naruto, his eyes filled with defiance. "You don't know anything. You think you can just waltz in and defeat Gato? He's not someone you can just punch in the face and win. You don't understand the kind of power he has. You'll get yourself killed, and it won't change anything for us." Naruto's frustration peaked. "You think I'm scared of Gato? You think I'm just going to let some overgrown bully dictate what happens in this village? I'm not here to back down. I will fight for this place. For you and everyone else." Sasuke, catching the energy of the moment, leaned forward. "Listen, kid. If you don't have the will to fight, then you'll never make it anywhere. It's people like you who let the bad guys win. You have to believe that you can change things, because if you don't, you might as well give up now." Inari shook his head, tears of frustration threatening to spill. "You don't understand. Gato has taken everything from us. My father. He couldn't protect us. And now you think you can do it? You're just kids?" Kakashi, sensing the escalating tension, intervened. "Inari, I know it's hard to see hope right now, But these kids are stronger than you think. They have determination. And they're willing to fight for what's right. That counts for something. But Inari was unconvinced. Determination doesn't change anything. Gato's men are ruthless. If you don't know that, you're just fooling yourselves. With that, he stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind him. The atmosphere turned heavy. Naruto felt a pang of guilt mixed with anger, while Sasuke's usual cool demeanor shifted into contemplation. We can't let him think like that. If we're going to protect this village, we need everyone to believe in us, Naruto said, a fire igniting in his heart. Let's just focus on the mission for now, Kakashi replied, his voice steady but concerned. Once we defeat Zabuza and get rid of Gato, maybe Inari will see that hope isn't as far-fetched as he thinks. Back to the present, Naruto approached the bridge with the unease still lingering in his gut. He could feel the weight of Inari's words pressing down on him. Would they truly be able to defeat Gato? Would Inari ever believe in them? As he reached the edge of the bridge, he spotted Haku and Zabuza waiting. Haku looked apprehensive but determined, while Zabuza had that usual intimidating air about him. It was clear they were both ready for a fight. But Naruto hoped to make this a demonstration of strength rather than hostility. Let's make this quick, Zabuza said, crossing his arms. If you think you can take me down easily, you're in for a rude awakening. Naruto nodded, his heart racing. We just want to show you that there's a better path. One that doesn't involve Gato. Zabuza scoffed. But Haku's gaze softened as she glanced between them. You don't have to fight us. There's more at stake here than just proving who's stronger. We're all on the same side in this struggle against Gato. Let's see if you can back those words up, Zabuza said, raising his sword. Come at me. Naruto took a deep breath, channeling his resolve. He focused on his chakra, summoning a shadow clone. A burst of energy erupted around him, and he charged forward, moving with the speed of a ninja driven by purpose. Haku moved to intercept him, her graceful motions reminiscent of flowing water. Wait, she called out. But it was too late. Naruto had already committed himself. As he dodged her senbon with agility, Naruto felt a spark of realization. Haku didn't want to fight. She wanted to protect her master, just as he wanted to protect his friends. This was about proving their worth to Zabuza. But it was also about finding common ground. Their clash intensified, each move filled with purpose. Zabuza observed, intrigued by Naruto's determination. You're strong for a brat. I'll give you that, he said, admiration creeping into his voice. I don't want to hurt you, Naruto shouted, pausing mid-attack. I want to stop Gato. We can fight together. Be stronger together. Please. Just listen to us. Zabuza hesitated, the weight of Naruto's words sinking in. He lowered his sword slightly, considering the offer. And what makes you think I'll trust a kid like you? Because, Naruto replied, his voice unwavering. I know what it's like to be underestimated. I've faced a lot of enemies. But I've always fought for those I care about. We can take Gato down. But we need your strength. Zabuza. The atmosphere shifted. Haku, realizing the potential of this alliance, nodded in agreement. Together, we can create a future without Gato looming over us. Zabuza studied them, his hardened exterior softening just a fraction. Fine. You've caught my interest. Show me what you're made of, and maybe I'll consider your offer. But know this, if you disappoint me, I won't hesitate to finish what we started. Naruto felt a surge of hope as the tension eased. If only slightly. He nodded, ready to prove that he was more than just a kid with a dream. Let's do this. As they prepared for the next stage of their confrontation, Naruto couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing at the precipice of something greater. A chance not only to defeat Gato but to unite their strengths for a common cause. Meanwhile, Inari watched from the distance, hidden among the trees. He had overheard the last part of the conversation, a mix of emotions swirling within him. Could these kids really be the answer? Or was it just another false hope? Naruto shook off the lingering thoughts of his encounter with Inari, forcing his mind to focus on the immediate situation before him. They stood on the bridge, engulfed by a thick mist that shrouded the area, making it nearly impossible to see even a few feet ahead. He could sense the presence of Zabuza and Haku just beyond the haze, their silhouettes materializing through the fog. Stronger than ever. Naruto called out to Zabuza, his voice brimming with confidence. Zabuza merely snorted in response. Haku was looking forward to fighting you. Brat. You don't stand a chance, he replied, a smirk on his face. Though I must admit, I'm curious about how you came to possess the ice bloodline. Surprise. Naruto shot back, the playful tone in his voice causing Zabuza to snort again. You seem a bit too cocky, kid. Now go and fight her, Zabuza commanded, waving his hand dismissively. Naruto nodded, vanishing in a blur of movement. Meanwhile, Haku was sizing up Sasuke, her expression unreadable beneath her mask. You might be extremely cute, she began, her voice teasing. But that doesn't mean I'll go easy on you. I like being on top of everything. And I intend to come out on top in our encounter, too. Sasuke felt his face heat up, a blush creeping across his cheeks. Naruto, having just reappeared out of nowhere, caught sight of Sasuke's bright red face. He had to focus chakra into his eyes to see clearly through the mist, and what he saw filled him with unexpected delight. Sasuke, the self-proclaimed emo king, was blushing like a tomato. Who the hell is this girl? And why is she so pretty? Sasuke thought, momentarily distracted. But then a cold wave of realization washed over him, and he paled. Wait, I'm not supposed to feel this way, he exclaimed, loud enough for both Naruto and Haku to hear. Naruto raised an eyebrow, looking at Sasuke as if he were from another planet. What the hell, Sasuke? He asked, confused. He couldn't help but think that Haku and Sasuke would make an interesting pair. Enough talk, now we fight, Haku declared, launching a barrage of senbon at them. Both Naruto and Sasuke swiftly moved aside, Sasuke activating his Sharingan, the two tomo swirling ominously in his red eyes. So you activated the Sharingan? Naruto asked, impressed. When did that happen? Last night, after my little outburst, Sasuke said, grinning. I feel great. Let's see how good these eyes really are. Naruto nodded in agreement, excitement bubbling within him. Before Sasuke could fully prepare, Haku appeared behind him, delivering a swift kick. Sasuke managed to raise a hand just in time to block it, narrowly avoiding disaster. Naruto grinned appreciatively at Haku's speed. You're fast, he complimented, a tone of respect in his voice. Haku smiled, though Naruto couldn't see it beneath her mask. In a flash, she charged at Naruto, who sidestepped her with surprising ease, almost looking like he was dancing rather than fighting. Not bad, he said, but let's see how you handle this. He stepped back, forming a series of hand seals, and sent out several sharp balls of ice toward Haku. She dodged them deftly, narrowly escaping their icy grasp. Nice, she acknowledged, her voice laced with admiration. You have decent control over ice. But let's see how you dodge this. She quickly formed her own set of hand seals. Ice style. Ice disc technique, she shouted. Naruto could hear the whizzing sound in the air but struggled to see through the mist. He activated his eyes, focusing chakra into them, finally catching sight of the almost transparent, razor-sharp ice discs racing toward him. Just as panic began to set in, Sasuke, with his Sharingan, managed to pull Naruto out of harm's way. Dobi, what the hell are you doing? Man? Do I have to save you from everything? Sasuke snapped, relieved yet irritated. Naruto sighed, relieved but chastised. He had taken this too lightly. The mist was forcing him to activate his Rinnegan to see clearly. Listen, Haku, he said, regaining his composure. I don't care how beautiful you are. I will defeat you. Fear my wrath. Fire style. Phoenix flower jutsu. Sasuke shouted, shooting out a barrage of fireballs toward Haku. She gracefully dodged them all, substituting herself with a block of ice, which made Sasuke groan in frustration. Meanwhile, Kakashi and Zabuza were locked in a fierce battle. Zabuza had to admit that Kakashi was a formidable shinobi, holding his own against him quite well. You're good. Maybe your students are as talented as you are? Zabuza remarked, a hint of respect in his voice. Don't underestimate them. That could be the last mistake you make. Kakashi replied coolly. Zabuza chuckled. The blondie is fearsome. I'll give him that. But he lacks experience. He's a little too naive for my tastes. As their blades clashed, Kakashi suddenly vanished, revealing himself to be a shadow clone. Are you taking advantage of his naivety? Kakashi questioned, materializing behind Zabuza with a kunai poised at his throat, not intending to cut, just to prove a point. Nah, Zabuza said nonchalantly, dissolving into a puddle of water. Kakashi sighed, berating himself for thinking he had gained the upper hand. He dodged just in time as Zabuza reemerged with a powerful slash of his giant sword, a bead of sweat trickling down Kakashi's brow. Zabuza was truly skilled. So why join us? Kakashi inquired, keeping his guard up. Zabuza shrugged, pausing to catch his breath. Look, I love Haku. Okay. I took her in and raised her to be a tool. But she changed my heart. I'm tired of putting her in danger like this. I know she'll be safe in Konoha. I'm doing this for her. I want her to have a great life. Kakashi looked on, stunned at Zabuza's admission. Plus, she thinks that black-haired kid is cute, Zabuza added, a smirk playing at his lips. Kakashi's sweat dropped at the unexpected reveal. Enough of this sappy bullshit. Let's fight now, Zabuza shouted, charging at Kakashi once more. Half an hour later. All right, Haku, it's time, Naruto said, finding himself trapped within Haku's demonic ice mirrors. He was sorely tempted to use the Preta path to absorb the ice needles, but he decided against it. Sasuke, looking worse for wear, nodded beside him. Sasuke, Inari seems to have gathered the villagers. Gato is on his way now, Naruto informed him. Sasuke's confusion faded as he realized that the mirrors around them had melted away, with Naruto placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Relax. I'll explain everything. Focus. She's on our side, Naruto assured him, glancing towards Zabuza and Kakashi, who had also made their way toward them. All right, Zabuza. You lost the spar, so you can act like you're injured, Naruto instructed. Zabuza snorted, clearly displeased with the arrangement. Sasuke, act like you're seriously hurt, Naruto told him, but Sasuke shot him a puzzled look. Why? He asked. Naruto shrugged. Just do it. No way. You act injured or tell Haku, Sasuke retorted, his pride flaring. Meanwhile, Sakura, hidden by a genjutsu along with Tazuna, suddenly showed up, bewildered. Hey, what's going on here? Why are we all standing around? She asked, her gaze darting between them. Tazuna looked equally confused. Has the battle stopped? Sensei? Why are we with the enemies right now? Kakashi merely shrugged, a hint of amusement in his eyes. Tell Sakura to act hurt. It's the most believable outcome, Sasuke suggested to Naruto, who shot him an irritated glare. Before he could respond, Haku swiftly kicked Sasuke in the groin, the force causing him to double over, clutching his stomach. Why? He wheezed, his face contorted in pain. That was for being a jerk, Haku replied, her tone serious yet light-hearted. Sakura's anger flared at Haku's boldness, while Zabuza lay back on the ground, playing up his injuries as best he could. Just then, Gato appeared on the scene, flanked by 50 mercenaries, his eyes scanning the area with arrogance. Demon of the hidden mist. Huh? You don't seem too special, Zabuza. I mean, you were defeated by kids, Gato taunted, his gaze quickly shifting to Haku. Ah. The hot piece you carry with you. You know, I want her. He leered at Haku, who knelt beside Zabuza, pretending to heal his wounds and looking wounded herself. You were right, Zabuza muttered to Naruto, who nodded in agreement. But Gato disregarded their exchange, his eyes narrowing as he realized they were all standing against him. Suddenly, Naruto stepped forward. Do you know who you're messing with? You're in a whole heap of trouble, Gato, he threatened, crossing his arms defiantly. Gato laughed, mocking Naruto. What are you gonna do? Kid? It's 50 against 1. Okay. But, Sasuke began. Shut up. Sasuke. We'll handle it, Naruto snapped back. We won't let you bully us anymore. Naruto ignited the Rinnegan, letting its power radiate outward. Gato's face paled as he finally comprehended who he was up against. Wait a minute. It's too late now. Gato. Naruto interrupted, launching a flurry of ice blasts toward the mercenaries, solidifying their path forward. Haku joined in, her ice jutsu amplifying Naruto's attack, creating an impenetrable wall of frost that trapped Gato and his men. Zabuza smiled at the scene. Haku, it's time to show them what we've got. Kakashi, regaining his footing, nodded in approval. Let's wrap this up quickly. I'd rather not have to babysit you fools any longer. Together, the team launched their counterattack, determined to send Gato and his mercenaries running. The battle that ensued was fierce, but they fought with a newfound strength, united by their resolve to protect the ones they cared for. As the dust began to settle and the last remnants of Gato's gang fled the scene, Naruto couldn't help but grin at his teammates. We did it. Can you believe it? I knew we could, Haku said, a proud smile breaking through her mask. Sasuke glared at her. You had to kick me, didn't you? Naruto and Haku burst into laughter, the moment of levity reminding them of the bond they had forged in the heat of battle. And somewhere in the distance, Inari watched with wide eyes, a newfound sense of determination blossoming within him. If they could overcome such adversity, then maybe he could, too.